Hello and welcome to the 2020 FIA Gran Turismo Championships. We're back in action for one last time for the top 16 superstars. It is round 30, the last of stage 3 of our online season. My name is Tom Brooks. Alongside me, the Earl of Sheddington himself, Jimmy Broadbent. How you doing? All right?
I'm always waiting for whatever you come up with.
I'm waiting for the compilation to come through.
That's a 6 out of 10. That's not up there. That's not up there.
Shocking state of affairs. Shocking. It's been a brilliant season so far, hasn't it? Let's just go straight into it, shall we, and talk about what we've got coming up today for you. We've got Nations Cup and Manufacturers Series action. In the Nations Cup, we're at the Sardegna Road Track A2 layout in the Gran Turismo Red Bull X 2019 car. It is a very quick car, isn't it? And a very fast track combination as well. And in terms of the Manufacturers Series, Tokyo Expressway Southern Inner Loop in Group 3 cars. Tantalising prospect, that.
Also at night, so hard to see, obviously, because no sun. There you go, Jimmy. I've learned how night and day works. They're getting better. Every time they're getting better.
I'm looking forward to your progression. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Well, great to have you along. Thank you so much for joining us, first of all, for the last time for the top 16 superstars. Nations Cup in 2020 has been really exciting, hasn't it, as well? I mean, there have been two names that have been on the top of our lips. Baptiste Beauvoir, he's got it sewn up, though, but the battle behind him between Valerio Gallo, Giorgio Mangano, Coque Lopez in particular as well, it's all pretty tight there, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, second, third and fourth are completely open. Any result here could happen. This is how we're going at the moment. And who's strong? We have Gallo, we have Mangano, we have Lopez. Lopez, of course, won our last Superstars race, but we've seen Gallo had excellent form, and Mangano, who has been okay, but he's somehow found himself in the mix. I'm not really sure how. No offense to Giorgio, but he's just he's always had a good, consistent result. It's been enough to put him in fourth place going to the final round.
Well, he came in quite late in the day, didn't he? Really, more than anything. Just a reminder for those who've just tuned in for the first time: it's the best 8 results that you get over the course of the season. So if you get 8 first-place finishes, for example, you're absolutely laughing there, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, no one's done that yet, but still, it's been a fantastic season so far, and as such we have some highlights coming you for the last race, which is equally as entertaining.
As they come on the downhill run in towards the first corner, the rolling start spreads the field out, so don't expect anybody to be making too many moves into those first couple of corners for the first time of asking, and he has got it all to do. And here is his fellow title rival Giorgio Mangano. He's up the inside, he threw into P8 there, into the hairpin, side by side to the first corner, later on the brakes there for Lopez, and back once again. Thankfully didn't lose out to Valerio Gallo, sent it down the inside, late move there from Valerio Gallo, up through into third position, goes the Italian driver, and this of course is crucial. Beauvoir tries to go the long way round the outside, they run door handle to door handle, wing mirror to wing mirror. Beauvoir still holds it on the outside to Valerio Gallo.
He does get a good run, but he's compromised by Beauvoir being so slow on exit now. Gallo's going to surely have to look to the inside. Beauvoir covers it off. Gallo chucks up the inside, but there is contact between the two.
It's side by side for second, and Tapai is surely going to take it, but Beauvoir gets it on the line. He takes it on the line, does the French for the head of Adam Tapai.
I think we were so engrossed in the battle for second position there that we forgot Coque Lopez actually won that race.
I kind of feel bad for Coque, really. Bless him. He did everything perfectly, but I think we just had about 2-3 seconds of screen time with Coque, and that was at the end when he crossed the line.
I know, it was unreal, wasn't it? Brilliant racing. Let's have a look, shall we, at the championship standings after round 28, just to remind you exactly what it's all about in the Nations Cup. You can see on screen that Baptiste Beauvoir, 3,454 points. His lead is unassailable in the Nations Cup, but it's very tight indeed, as you can see further down. Valerio Gallo, Coque Lopez, Giorgio Mangano, all pretty close for points. There is plenty that could be changed.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the second to fourth again, how close that is. You might notice, of course, that from this season, big name missing is Mikhail Azel. People wondering where he is. Well, not here, of course, but it has allowed other people to sort of come in and fill that space. And not to say, of course, these guys are any less talented, but I think it's always nice to sort of cycle the names, new people coming in as well, and kind of new people showing that they have the talent to be there at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Mikhail Azel, we actually caught up with him a little bit earlier on today, just to get his thoughts on what the Nations Cup has been like this season, and crucially, his thoughts on Valerio Gallo, Giorgio Mangano, Coque Lopez, and Baptiste Beauvoir. Let's find out what he had to say.
Can we get like a little mini room tour? Show us where the magic happens.
I can do that, but oh sheesh. As you can see, this is not me, this is me. Hello! Here we have the 2018 Manufacturers Cup trophy. I don't know what kind of trophies I got those from.
Sorry, I've got too many trophies. What a problem!
Hey, no. It's not like that.
Get back in your seat. Sit down, Mick. Sit down. I've had enough. You stand up.
No! It's fine. Okay, it's fine. Okay.
So Mikhail Azel, that was you lifting the trophy last year in Monaco in the World Final. Just talk us through that. How did that feel for you, like when you finally released that emotion? I remember there was so much pressure you were putting on yourself all weekend, and then I think that was the moment where you were just like, yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, it still feels surreal to me because that's also one of my few goals which I really wanted to achieve in my sim racing career. And now after achieving that one, I'm really proud of it.
Have you seen the slow motion video of you when you cross the line? Like, it's one of my favorite videos. Once a day I watch that. It's brilliant.
When I'm racing at home and when I basically win a race, like for example getting the points I needed for the championship, I'm basically like, okay, good. Then just turning off the TV and just laying on my bed and then just either relaxing or continuing studying.
The bed. All right.
Hey, wait. You know, when you drive, okay, and when you finish the race, getting your phone and stuff like this, you need some you need some rest, okay?
All right, so this year's Nations Cup, then, you haven't really been driving, but you have been watching, I'm guessing, Baptiste Beauvoir, Valerio Gallo. What do you think about those two?
Actually, as for Baptiste, I already know that he's been one of the fastest ever in Gran Turismo, so I'm not really quite surprised that he's sitting at the top of the Nations Cup. But as for Valerio, I think ever since the beginning of the 2019 championship, I started to realize that this guy has also a huge talent as well. It made me happy that he finally is able to show off his real talent, because on the live events he hasn't really been able to show off his potential, you know. And for this year, it's been either Valerio or Baptiste always getting their points in order to finish, or let's say be themselves in the position to fight for, let's say, the best driver in Europe at the moment.
What do you reckon you could beat him? What do you reckon? Oh, bring back the old Mick magic.
Hey. It's I don't want to think about it, okay? I just want to enjoy my free holidays at the moment.
We want you to think about it.
Great to catch up with you, Mick, as always, mate. And good luck with your exams, and we hope to see you back on the racetrack very soon.
Yeah, thank you, Tom and Jimmy.
Well, nice to hear there from Mikhail Azel. I think if he was any more relaxed, I think we'd start to have to be concerned, you know.
I'm fairly sure he has just gone back to bed. He's done for the day now. He's out. That's it, done.
Yeah, he's always chilled out, isn't he? Anyway, he's pretty chilled out, unlike the top drivers in the Nations Cup, because they have got the pressure on them all the way. Even for the likes of Baptiste Beauvoir. I mean, he's at the top of the standings, as we know. Let's take a look at our top 4 competitors in the Nations Cup, because Baptiste Beauvoir, as we said, he's got that first place secured. Yeah. He's laughing, really, going into this last one, right?
Again, you think you could crack a smile or something. I don't know. It's looking like it's been sat around the face or something. But yeah, currently first in the standings, he cannot be caught. So he's just here for fun.
Like a bulldog chewing a wasp, that face, isn't it, unfortunately. Valerio Gallo in second position, however. The Italian driver has been really consistently keeping Baptiste Beauvoir honest, hasn't he? And if you see there, if he takes a podium in this one, he'll get a minimum of 3rd place in the standings, which is really strong for him, actually, given where he was, compared to this time last year.
And that's where the pressure comes in. You know, like this is where you think, oh, this is the result I need to have. Then that's in the back of your head, and it can sort of mess with you a little bit. And we know Gallo might be, I think he's a little bit susceptible to that stuff. So I think he needs to really just blinkers on today and just do the best job he can.
What about the driver who's currently sitting in 3rd position in the standings, Coque Lopez? He ascended to 3rd in the standings after that win last, although we didn't really speak about, to be honest with you. But if you look on screen at the moment, if he takes 1st or 2nd place ahead of Valerio Gallo, he could take 2nd position in the standings, so he could be set to go up even further.
And that's super strong for Coque as well. I mean, he's been around since we have been doing this pretty much. He's been around for ages. He's always been there 5th, 6th, 4th, never quite break into that top 3. 2nd place would be a great result result for him. And on that back of that last Superstars win, momentous with him maybe? I don't know.
Does that mean you're going to continue the tribute haircut?
Yeah, tribute haircut stays. Even if he changes it. But of course, our last guy to talk about, last but certainly not least, Giorgio Mangolo. If Mangolo takes first or second place ahead of Gallo and Lopez, he could still take third in the standings. A bit more of an outside shot for Giorgio, but I think it's fair to say that he's not been top of the top, but just consistent results. He's had a good 8 finishes so far, so that's as good a way to get up in the standings as anybody else. But maybe lacking the extreme pace to be right at the top.
Well, the thing is, as you said, he's been up the sharp end, but he's also been at the bottom end of the grid on some occasions as well. We know it's only the top 8 results that count, but you can see on your screen all the different championship permutations for our drivers here. So it's going to be exciting to see how it all plays out, and there's lots of unpredictability going into this one, and there's a lot of pressure on these drivers' shoulders.
I'll get my counting fingers out, won't I?
God, no.
I'm terrible at maths. Don't do that.
Let's call Rachel Riley and get Countdown over and see whether we can get something better there, shall we? Anyway, the Red Bull X 2019 is the car that the drivers will be competing in the Nations Cup Round 30 Top 16 Superstars race. It's a car that we're used to seeing, actually, in our World Tour finals as well. And a certain Jimmy Broadbent had a bit of a go of it to see exactly how tricky it is to pilot around this Sardegna circuit.
Oh, come on, brain. You need to work with me today. I've got Mr. Baptiste Beauvoir's ghost on. Well, there he is already. Stop it, Baptiste. All right, it's a straight line. How are you faster? He's already gone. Come back. So the Red Bull X 2019, a car that we roll out for special occasions here at GT Sport, and today it is. The Red Bull X 2019 is basically the grandson of the Red Bull X 2010 that you might remember back from GT5, where I tried to take part in the GT Academy and didn't get through. We have a V12 engine in the back, an absolute ton of downforce, actually probably 2 tons of downforce at max speed. Racing slicks, and the thing weighs about 600 kilograms. So really, all in all, a ridiculous racing car. And as such, it requires ridiculous drivers to go fast in them. So to try this out, we're going to pop into sport mode and go over to the Nations Cup and see how we compare to, well, some of my friends, I guess. Probably not very well. It's been a while since I've driven this thing. Get ourselves entered for the race and go into free practice. Right, so we're out on track. I have to sort of like G myself up a bit for this because this car it's quite hard for your brain to keep up with. So we're going to unleash our V12 engine down the straight, up through the gears, 7 gears in this thing, flappy paddle, so you got the gears very, very quickly. There you go, top gear, 7th gear. Now come up to T1. In any other cars, would be a big dab of the brakes and chuck it in. This car is completely flat, so easily flat through there. Crazy how fast it is. So we're going to try and brake just before the 100 meter board. Nice late apex here at T1. Aim for the exit. Soft application of the throttle there. Very easy to wheel spin. 800 horsepower plus in this version of the car. Flat for this right-hander. Full commitment here. And this is where you have to be so precise in this car. Everything happens very, very quickly. And if you make one wrong move, you find yourself in the barrier or doing this, going wide. Very, very easy. And that's about half a second loss there, just like that. Now we plunge back down the hill for this midsection, fast and flowing again. It's completely flat down here until you get to the tightening right-hander coming up through this flat left. Watch our braking zone. There it is. Turn the car in nice, hug the inside. Aim for the exit. Careful on throttle there. Easy to get the car sideways, and when this car is sideways, it slows it right down, as you'd imagine. Now this right-hander here, very, very tricky to get the power on for. You can see the car trying to step out through there. And now we come into the last section. Now braking in a straight line is very important in this car. It's very easy to brake while turning and scrub off a ton of speed. A bit wide there on exit. Using all that blue runoff though. Give us a good run down to the line. Now my best time so far has been a 25.9. Where are we now? 25.8 is slightly faster, but you're just seeing just how intense this car is. Got to try and get the car pointing in a straight line before you put those 800 horses down on the track. And you can see just how being neat and tidy in this car is where all the time is. What's that? That's going to be a 25.1. I wonder if I can get a 24 out of this. I don't know. There you go. No, I've already ruined it. Now imagine doing this for 20 odd laps with some of the best drivers in the world behind you, also trying to do that and fighting for the same bit of tarmac as you, and then you understand just why the X 2019 at any of our circuits here is just a proper challenge, and it really, I think, brings out the best of our drivers. So last lap for us, almost improved, but sort of messed up the start of the lap. That was doomed for the end. So my best time of 25.1. I'd love to hear just how much faster you guys are at home. Let us know in the comments. But that is the Red Bull X2019. This is the Sardegna Road Course A2. This is going to be setting the scene for our Nations Cup later on tonight. You know, going into that, I thought, well, I'm pretty decent in downforce cars. I'll do okay in this. And then it turns out I was like 2 seconds a lap slower than Baptiste. And these cars, they really are the peak in GT sport. They're so difficult to get that extra 5-10% out of, and that's where the superstars really shine, I think.
Well, I was watching you earlier with the ghost lap on, and he was braking later, he was accelerating harder, and he was just there like the cogs whirring away, thinking, how on earth is he doing this?
Yeah, I mean, the typical response to that, if he's faster than you, he's cheating. If he's slower, he's rubbish. So there you go.
Goodness me. Well, round 30 is just moments away. However, I don't think it's fair that we go into round 30 without taking a look back at our top 5 moments from the top 16 superstars in 2020.
We're going to go 3 wide on the start-finish straight at the start of lap 2. Who is going to break the latest? Jones in the middle of the sandwich. Bishop on the outside. Lindgren on the inside. Hard on the brakes we go down into T1, and Lindgren takes 2 in 1. A plethora of penalties in the lower half of the top 10 here as Solis now challenges Brooks for the race lead coming down the straight. He's going to go hard on the brakes into the hairpin. Solis has got the inside line. He's got track position. He's now got the race lead.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go into the chicane. He's both going to try and send it around the outside to the chicane. What a move from Beauvoir. Gallo goes for a move down the inside, has a bit of a look against Rodriguez. Rodriguez runs it deep. Here comes Baptiste Beauvoir on the inside of the pair of them. There's contact between them as we come side by side. 3 wide on the corner exit. Beauvoir on the inside, Gallo in the middle, Rodriguez on the outside. Beauvoir's going to try and send it down the inside to the left-hander, but Gallo holds on to second position to run for the line. Over the line comes Coque Lopez to take the win. It's side by side for second, and Sapai is surely going to take it, but Beauvoir gets it on the line.
I think my voice has just about recovered from that one, you know. I mean, there's just been some unbelievable moments of racing in 2020, haven't there? I think we should take a look at one a little bit more in depth, though, because that full send from Baptiste Beauvoir on Valerio Gallo last time on the chicane. Let's take a look at a few angles of that then. So we're running on board here with Valerio Gallo going down to the first corner. Now he goes to the inside, squeezed against the pit wall, coming down in towards the first corner. This is where it gets interesting because Gallo's later on the brakes into here, and I just want to pause it on the apex, pause it right there so we can see Beauvoir. Now he's stuck behind Gallo. What's he thinking at this point?
Well, see, at this point, Gallo's made the pass, so he's probably thinking, okay, I'm all right now, because no one passes into the chicane of life, as we're calling it, from the other way around. If you're Baptiste Beauvoir, you know you've got a fast car under you in a straight line, you know you've got the draft, so he'll be just focusing on getting tucked in as soon as he can, get as much slipstream as possible coming up to the chicane.
Well, let's carry on then, shall we, and get on with it and see exactly what happens coming out of it. So Beauvoir doesn't actually get that strong of an exit out of there, but he's got the draft here.
There we go, just on the outside now. Gallo goes defensive, as you'd expect to. Beauvoir just carries momentum over and then just sweeps around the outside. It's an amazing move. But on exit there, you see not quite as good, hits the wall a little bit, slows himself down, and then just like that, Gallo's back on the inside and back by again.
Yeah, exactly. Going into the hairpin, sends it down the inside. He's through, back into that second position. Let's take a look at another angle of that overtake, shall we? Because we're going to look at the cockpit view. This is from Baptiste Beauvoir. So you can see in the mirrors, he's got a mirror full of Toyota Supra. Tried to sweep left there, didn't he?
Yeah, just didn't quite have enough time to get it done though. That's the problem. He was a bit late getting that done, and that allowed Gallo getting by on the inside initially, and then he's having to play catch up from here on.
Yeah, so he's in the slipstream now. This is exactly what we were seeing just a few minutes ago. Now he could go left there, but Gallo goes defensive, so he's up against the barrier on the outside. And I just want to pause it just about here before we come into the braking zone. So we're just about to turn in there. Now, we can't see Valerio Gallo. He can't see Valerio Gallo at this point. How on earth do you know to turn in and make sure that you're not going to hit your competitor?
So basically what Baptiste is doing here is he's saying, I am turning into this corner. If you do not back out, we are going to have a crash. Which is, you know, very, very Senna-esque if you ever watched any of his racing. You can just about see him in the mirror. Top right there. So if we unpause now, you'll see it just sweeps on by, and Gallo gives him the room, and then of course we unfold from there. You can see the mirror again with that little contact on the wall, just allows Gallo to come back through again.
Nicely done. Yeah, that's a really good idea of exactly what it was like from Baptiste Beauvoir's view. Let's take another look at it, shall we, from an external point of view. Again, exactly the same overtake, exactly the same thing, but this will give us a better idea of it. This is what we were seeing at the time of racing here, wasn't it?
Yeah, we'll just play it through in full speed view this time to give you a proper idea of how it works. See Beauvoir there, he tried to defend, didn't quite get it done, lets the car go wide to the outside, doesn't force the line here. That's the intelligent thing. If you Gallo, you think, right, I'm going to defend here. and that's a move, I'm fine. But of course, he didn't really count it being Beauvoir.
No, exactly. It's coming into this chicane because you don't really realise it, but he carries so much speed into there. He's offline, clips the curb very heavily, and then on the wall with the outside.
Yeah.
That's what cost him the momentum. That's what cost him the time, and that's how Gallo was able to get a better run through the second phase of it, find his way back through.
So it was fantastic, but in the end, somewhat worthless about these Beauvoir. But definitely one of my favourite moves, I think, from the entire Nations Cup so far.
Unreal, wasn't it? And that's what we love to see. Two of the best drivers going head-to-head all race long. Brilliant, exciting racing in the Nations Cup. Anyway, round 30, as we said, is coming up for you in just a couple of moments, but the drivers are out on track right now, so let's go over, shall we, and see how they're qualifying. So, Giorgio Mangano coming over the timing line, 40 seconds remaining of this session here then for qualifying. It's going to be his final flying lap in this one. He's currently third quickest. Can he improve on that, though? That is the crucial question.
Well, qualifying now is as important as it has ever been. This is the last time to pick up points. Round 30, our final round of a season here in Nations Cup. And Giorgio Mangano, and again we have our four competitors all together at the top. Gallo, Beauvoir, Mangano and Lopez. This season has been all about these four, and it seems just appropriate that they're all together on the grid. Currently Mangano has the lead in qualifying. He has 3 tenths over Coque Lopez. Mangano has a tenth over Lopez too, but this is it. You get a draft round here, that's that time already found back already. I'm not quite sure, but Coque Lopez out there in the medium.
Yeah, he's deciding to set that fastest time, which is very impressive to be fourth quickest on that medium tyre compared to the other lot of soft runners behind him. But you can see at the moment nobody really improving in position. Swiderick improves in lap time but stays 11th quickest. Here is Giorgio Mangano then. It's not been a bad lap from the Italian driver, but it's not been one that's been setting the timing screens alight there as well. He's quick in a few sectors, but it's not a personal best, and it's certainly not fastest overall. I don't think this is going to be an improvement here for Giorgio Mangano. He's about ready to come over the timing line. Baptiste Beauvoir is the man we need to keep an eye out because he was quickest in the second sector. Mangano over the timing line doesn't improve. Valerio Gallo stays fastest, but it is the man who is on pole position who is also on a charge here as well. Somebody's off into the wall there in the background. That was Martin Grady, you're right. So Gallo is looking pretty handy here to try and improve on his own time.
Oh, sideways though, coming out of the last corner. That would have cost him a tenth or two. Now it's a drag race down to the line. Here is the start-finish line. Does Gallo improve on his time? He does slightly at 22.681. Where is Baptiste Beauvoir? That's the question. He was on a quick lap last time I checked. We're going to see if we can get a camera on him. Oh, I think he's pitted in.
So let's see what happens then. So Coque Lopez, he was not... Yeah, he's slowed down. Yeah, yellow flag is out, you can see. So somebody has had an incident at the final corner. What about Manu Rodriguez? Can he do something here? No, he's too fast. I think he might have been the driver who had that moment then, by the looks of things. Somebody else spinning out of the final corner. It's all going off here as these drivers try to improve. Over the timeline comes Rodriguez. He's 10th fastest. He'll stay 10th fastest on this final lap. So there we are. Baptiste Beauvoir, despite looking very quick in that second sector, the yellow flag, I think, really thwarting him right when it counted. So then, that is how the drivers line up ahead of round 30 for the Nations Cup. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the race details going into this one, because we're at the Sardegna Road Track A2 layout. The Red Bull X2019 is the car of choice, as we know. 3 tyre compounds. Fuel is going to come into this because it's 24 laps long.
Tell you what, my favourite part about this, though? Says rolling start down there, but we thought, nah, too easy, too easy. Standing start in a Red Bull X2019 Grand Prix style, and the first corner is pretty much a square right. So 16 cars flying down towards T1.
Fireworks, yeah. 800 horsepower with a contact patch the size of a credit card. I'd rather them than I.
Your credit card, yeah.
You're talking about. Anyway, so that is how the drivers line up. Those are the circuit details. Let's get ready then, shall we? Go into the race and see what's going to happen for the final time for the Nations Cup. Over to the grid for the Nations Cup race then. A plethora of Red Bull X2019s lining up for the EMEA Region race. Pole position, a great lap as we saw from Valerio Gallo. What can he do from there from a standing start? What about the man alongside, Baptiste Beauvoir? He'll want to be drawing alongside. Very distinctive livery on his car, as we can see there as well. Heading row 2 is Giorgio Mangano. The Italian driver is ahead of Coque Lopez. Then the third row of the grid, that is Marcus Konnonen, the Finnish driver. And alongside him it is Carlos Salazar as well. P7 on the grid is Adam Sassuillo. Not a bad qualifying from him. He'll hope to try and move forward in the race. Anderson, the Swede, lines up alongside. The next row of the grid is headed by Krevchenko in P9. And 10th position is Manuel Rodriguez. P11 on the grid, Marcin Swiderich, the Polish driver. And Jones lines up next up. P13, unlucky for some, hopefully not for MX Steve, the Belgian driver, is alongside Sicci, the Italian. And then P15 on the grid, the final row, is Silva, the Portuguese driver. And rounding out is Martin Grady. Difficult qualifying for him. He'll be hoping to move forward in the race. So 24 laps ahead of these drivers for round 30 of the top 16 superstars. It is the Nations Cup race for the EMEA region. Tension is in the air for our drivers. We've got to wait for those 5 red lights to come on. And for the final time in 2020 in Gran Turismo, we are racing then. Gallo gets a good start. Beauvoir gets away well. Look at Coque Lopez moving to the middle of the track before they come down in towards the first corner. Who's going to get the better start between the drivers? Gallo got away well. It's the 3 Williams Esports guys who lead the way. Beauvoir's lost a position off the start. Getting through the first turn, there was definitely contact there with Sassuolo into the wall. On the outside, in towards turn 2, the first heavy braking zone. Is anybody sending it down the inside? Looks like Mangano's ahead of Lopez. Beauvoir into 4th place. Salazar into 5th. Anderson holds on to 6th position. Everybody relatively clean through those first couple of corners, but a little bit wide there for Coque Lopez. That's going to throw him offline. It allows Beauvoir an opportunity to come through, and he's up the inside and into 3rd place.
Yeah, brave move there by Beauvoir. Very easy to have contact with that section and just cause a massive crash behind, but they're all through okay. Coque Lopez back down to 4th after that strong start. Beauvoir back up to 3rd. Salazar hanging on there too, Anderson of course as well on the soft compounder tyre. We expected the top 7 drivers put away slightly for the rest of the field. They do have the better tyre at the moment, but now we're getting that first taste of dirt. Yeah, Coque Lopez wide, Salazar wide as well, holding back slightly from Beauvoir, Mangano and Gallo, but a good start from our leader Gallo. He got off the line really well, and has already put 8 tenths between him and Mangano behind.
Looks like MX Steve there in 12 positions picks up a penalty on the opening lap. Presumably that's for contact with another car. Very easy to do so when you're caught up in and amongst the pack, especially with the drivers being very close to one another thanks to the standing start. You can see the drivers who started on the soft tyre pretty much all making a clean break for it in the front of this race, aside from Manuel Rodriguez. Started in 10th position, made 2 places on the medium compounder tyre, made it up to 9th position now, so he is through at the end of that first lap in 9th position. But a lot of the hard runners coming at the end of this first lap. Here comes Mangano versus Beauvoir down into turn 2 as well. The Italian just defending from the Frenchman then, very close on exit, but Mangano does hold the charge off of Beauvoir for now.
Remember that Beauvoir has effectively got this championship already. It's already done for him. He's only here for fun at the moment and to try and take points away from other people. Of course, he is the only non-Williams Esports driver at the moment in the top 4, so he's there just to play a little bit of havoc, I think, have a little bit of fun the last time out, and who wouldn't want to do that in the Red Bull X 2019? One of the most difficult, one of the most fast cars in GT Sport, and Baptiste Beauvoir using the draft down the hill, guard the inside here at the fast right-hander. Mangano has no choice but to just relinquish the position, and Beauvoir goes up into 2nd. And how often have we said this? It's Gallo and Beauvoir 1st and 2nd. We're going to have another fight, I think, in this last race here in round 30.
Well, place your bets then. Who is going to be emerging on top in 22 laps time? Gallo with a 1.5 second advantage. It's going to be tricky for Beauvoir to try and close that down, especially if he's got Mangano pretty close behind him. This is exactly the start of the race that Valerio Gallo wanted. Just looking here at 5th place, Carlos Salazar, he's made a position off the start, as has Anderson as well, close behind. So not a bad start there from the Portuguese driver. I understand last time we were talking about these drivers in the Manufacturer Series race, there was a bit of a moment between Beauvoir and Salazar as well. I think there may have been a bit of contact between them in one of the races.
Yeah, it happens easy enough. You've got to be careful, of course, and here as well, you're seeing how close these guys are running together through there. And that's a really deceptive corner there. You want to take sort of quite a late apex there and just focus on the exit speed. It sort of tightens up a little bit, comes back on you more than you think it does. Tyler's although doing well to hang on with this pack at the front. It's a difficult place to follow around it because these Red Bull X 2019 produce loads of downforce, an absolute massive amount. So if you get caught behind somebody, you can quite easily hit that dirty air, go to turn into a corner, and then find yourself, oh, I've not got any downforce left, and you sort of find yourself in the barrier very soon. But Salazar doing well to avoid that and staying with this pack. It seems that Gallo has he's still got his lead. He's not really being caught that much by Beauvoir. The gap is 1.5 seconds. That's what that looks like on your screen there. There's Baptiste in the blue baguette-covered Red Bull X 2019 behind. A very original livery, if nothing else.
Yes, have you seen the wheel covers on that car?
I have, yes.
Yeah, sadly our faces adorning it in this region as well as in others, unfortunately, for us. But there we go. It makes it a distinctive livery and easy for us to pick out, if nothing else. So, you know, small victories where we can.
Is it? is it? I don't know. But this is a great view here back at Giorgio Mangano, and you're getting an idea of what the draft looks like as Mangano slowly creeps up on us as we're back to Beauvoir, completely flat for the first quarter, 185 miles an hour. Let that sink in. Crazy levels of grip in this X2019. Then you go down to a relatively pedestrian 50 mile an hour for the next apex. It's very hard to adjust.
It is unbelievable the speed they're able to carry through. Meanwhile, Adam Sassuolo is locked in a battle with Silva. Sassuolo, of course, trying to make his way back through the field. Here it is. This is a P10, not where the Brit would have wanted to be fighting. He's lost 4 positions off the start there. Clearly, he's got a bit more pace than Silva at the moment, but has he got the opportunity to find his way past? He's on the medium compound of tyre, hasn't made that pit stop as well, and he's going to try and find his way through before too long. A good exit out of there would have helped him, but of course, Silva in front is helped by the slipstream of Connaughton, so he's not quite able to close up through here, and through the S-bends, because these cars produce such a vast amount of downforce, it's so difficult to run close to one another.
I don't think I've ever seen Adams has got to do very well in these X2019s. He always seems to be on the receiving end of a bit of hip and shoulder, or just finds the barrier on his own. I mean, maybe this is not a car that he gets on with. It's a car that really focuses on the precision, and it suits some drivers better than others. You see, coming out of the right-hander, they're just getting on the throttle a bit too much. These guys, you think they would, given this car's 800 horsepower, but they don't run traction control. That's the traction control is their right foot, and sometimes they get it wrong, and you get these great oversteer moments. They look really cool. They're pretty slow though.
So we've got 3 different tyre compounds to run in this race, just to remind you as well. Come back to that thought in just a moment, because here is Salazar versus Anderson. I thought that was going to be a bit of a move, changing for position. Speaking of that, Sassuolo has managed to get the better of Silva going in towards turn 2 by the looks of it as well. The Britta now into P10. But I was just saying, 3 different tyre compounds in this race, racing hard, medium and soft competitive tyres. As they have to run all 3, we should probably be expecting the drivers to run the hard tyre either at the end or in the middle, but they'll probably only run those for 1 lap. The mediums and the softs are the ones they're going to run for as long as possible, aren't they?
Feels like a World Tour event, this, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it's an interesting vibe. But yeah, we tend to see, as always, the hard tyre just being used for 1 lap and then discarded. Anderson there having a little bit of a look at Salazar, just not quite getting the run. It's not an overtaking spot that you'd expect to be used there, but it's just a draft down the hill. You get enough time if you're behind someone there, just to tow past them and then get the move done on the inside. But Salazar a bit too quick down the hill to have that happen. So here is Anderson. Again, a relative newcomer to the top 16. Oh, again, we've seen that a couple of times out the right-hander there, collecting the side, losing about a tenth, but importantly, keeping the car pointed the right way. So that's the important thing around it. It's very easy to loop this thing. Looks like we've already lost 1 driver from this race. Jones is not in the field, unfortunate for him. So we're down to 15 drivers here in round 30, and Anderson still on the back of Salazar.
So let's see what is going to happen then, coming down towards that first left-handed kink. Then you go hard into the brakes. That's the first real overtaking opportunity. Silva is into the pit lane there. Looks like Jones has had some kind of an issue and will probably be in the pit lane for the remainder of this race, down in 16th position. Disappointment there for Jones. Silva goes down into P13, coming out of the pit lane then onto the soft compound of tyres for his second stint in this race. But Anderson, as you said, relative newcomer to this one. We'll get some information on him later on in this race and guide you through exactly what he is all about and where he's competed in as of late. But he's keeping Salazar very honest here. Carlos Salazar, of course, a name that is pretty familiar to you if you've watched our top 16 Superstars races before, or perhaps if you've watched some of our World Tour events. He's been there as well.
Yeah, it's a recurring character in this story that is a GT Sport Nations Cup. It's great to see him here as well, and doing so well. 5th at the moment, of course, a long race to go and strategies to unfold yet, so we have no idea how that's going to end up. But I'm noticing that Gallo is not really being caught by Beauvoir. That gap's still about 1.4 seconds, and I've always said that Baptiste Beauvoir he likes the X2019. We've seen how quick he is. It was his ghost I was trying to follow earlier on, and fairly dismally.
Well, do you remember last year when we were in the World Final, how quick he was in it then?
Yeah, and now Gallo is matching him.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. So that just goes to show development of the driver, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Gallo needs to really do well for his championship here. If he wants to finish in 2nd place here, he needs to finish well here at Sardegna. So in the background we have Beauvoir again. Mangano's still there. He's still there, and he's actually catching now. So the Italian driver starting to turn up the wick a little bit on the X2019.
And he needs to do that as well. He needs to do more to secure the next position in the championship if he wants to move up the order. If it stays as it is, he'll stay as he was. So he needs to move up into second, potentially try and challenge Valerio Gallo for the race lead. So he knows he needs to get a lick on with it. He can't hang around too long. Here he is behind Baptiste Beauvoir, coming in towards this right-hander. Not a usual passing opportunity, and not one that Giorgio Mangano is going to try and invent there either. But he's certainly looking a bit more comfortable here. So he needs to get rid of him pretty quickly, because otherwise Gallo's going to try and clear off into the distance before too long.
Well, we know Baptiste Beauvoir. I think like a good nickname can be the Intimidator, if it were not already given to Dale Earnhardt Senior, of course. But you know you can't send one on Baptiste. He will not allow it. You know, you will have a crash.
Well, we saw that a couple of minutes ago, didn't we?
Yeah, he is very much, this is my line, I'm turning in. Same when he's overtaking, same when he's being overtaken. So the only place you're going to get him is on the straight, I think. And Giorgio Mangano again closing in, 3 tenths, 2 tenths, but you come through down the T1 and you just find you're not quite close to make that move.
Bit of quick mental arithmetic by the looks of things from our guys behind the scenes. If Giorgio Mangano finishes in second position, Coco Lopez finishes in fourth, that would be enough for Mangano to elevate himself in the championship. So he needs to get ahead of Beauvoir and hope that Lopez stays in fourth position. If he doesn't and Lopez finishes in third place, it might not be enough for Mangano. He might have to try and challenge Valerio Gallo, which of course is something he will probably want to do anyway, but he knows he's got it all to do, and he knows he's going to have to try and find a way past before too long.
I know, I'm glad we've got those guys behind the scenes, because I'm here with my fingers out. I've got no idea what I'm doing. I can't do maths. I was terrible.
I've run out of toes.
that's what happens when you're from Ramsgate, isn't it?
Thank you very much. Glowing character reference there. Goodness me. Lap 8 of the 24 we're on for round 30 then of the Nations Cup. You can see the drivers who have made the pit stops on the left-hand side of your screen, the tower graphic. Underneath the P, if they've got a 1 next to their name or a 2 or a number, essentially, that means they've made a pit stop in this race. If they don't, it means they haven't. So I'm wondering when we're expecting these soft runners to come into the pits here, or whether they are going to try and, well, they try and stretch it for as long as possible, but
there
how long? Oh, there we are. Right on cue.
They heard you.
More by luck than judgment, I think.
Interestingly, Gallo from the league has got a hard tyre, so this is actually an interesting strategy from Gallo. So he's managed to go out there and now hold him up a little bit on that hard tyre. Try not to let him get by. Will he one and done, do you think, on the hard tyre?
He's got to, hasn't he? You can't do anything but that, because the thing is that hard tyre is so much slower than everything else around it. I can't see a way that he would run it for more than 1 lap. I mean, maybe he can, because he's got 1.5 seconds. He's going to lose that, you would imagine, over the course of this lap. But if he feels maybe he can hold up Baptiste Beauvoir and Giorgio Mangano for another lap, that means, of course, when he puts the medium tyres on, there'll be a lap fresher at the end of it.
Yeah, that, and of course, the ideal scenario is that they're then not wasting their medium compounder tyre, but not able to use it to their full potential because they're having to drive to Gallo space. So it's a bit of a high-speed chess game, this, while you're doing 300 kilometres an hour in your X2019. I'm glad it's not me. Here's Connerman. He's been getting better and better as time goes on too. He's opted to stay out on that soft compounder tyre, yet to pit, looking up the inside of Coque Lopez, and Lopez, for his race, he cannot lose his place to Connerman now. He needs to stay out on the medium tyre. He cannot afford to be battling with the Finnish driver on board with Connerman still to go for this last sector. Very wide of the apex there. These soft tyres, I think, starting to come to the end of our life for Connerman. You can see that Coque Lopez is able to get the power quicker and more aggressively, and I think we'll probably see him in at the end of this lap.
Yeah, we've seen him at 4 World Tour events previously, Marcus Connerman. So he is a familiar face to us here with the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. As you said, probably coming in, as has Valerio Gallo. So the race leader has pitted at the end of that lap. Gone onto the medium tyres. He'll be on those, presumably, until the end of this race, unless he wants to stick a set of softs on at the very end of it. But he has come out of a bit of traffic there. That's not ideal. He's got Anderson in front of him.
That's what you have to try and also work out in your leaders. Where am I going to come out if I come into the pit lane? So he's got Anderson ahead. Anderson has made a stop. Gallo's made a stop too. The thing is now, Gallo can go to the end of this medium tyre. He has no more stops to make. Although saying that, there might be a stop for fuel towards the end. I didn't see him put any fuel in the stop there, Tom.
It's a good point. He's going to have to, I'm sure he's going to go onto the soft tyres to the end of this one. I reckon he'll run the mediums for 5 or 6 laps or so and then just blast to the end on a set of soft tyres, hoping that he has the pace.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's hard to make up a stop round here, or at any track really, but that means you'd have to run a faster race. And also what that means is your race has to be uninterrupted. Here's Collins and Salazar. Oh! That was nearly a big crash. Salazar just about keeping the pace there. Oh, Salazar's actually overtaken Conlon, sorry. Or has he? Yeah, he has.
Yeah, fresher medium tyres there for Salazar. Clapped out soft tyres for Conlon. It's probably no contest.
Yeah, I mean, Conlon, I think he's doing himself a disservice, by staying out here for this long on that tyre. I'm not seeing what the strategy is here. You have to, if the tyre starts to be this slow, you're being overtaken by people on a medium tyre, you've got to think, right, I've got to get rid of this now because I'm just losing time.
Maybe he's got sponsors to impress and he just wants to get a bit of TV time. If he wants to, he's doing that really well. Comes into the pit lane, though, at the end of this lap.
I mean, that's the Minardi strat, we call that, isn't it?
Yeah, it will run the cars underweight, shall we, and get as much TV time as possible. That's why they love single lap qualifying so much. Anyway, Conlon and Sassuolo into the pit lane whilst I reminisce about F1 in the mid-noughties. Salazar is released then, just behind Coque Lopez at the moment. I'll put my teeth back in here as well. But Baptiste Beauvoir versus Giorgio Mangano then.
We can see how Beauvoir looking pretty flustered at the moment. It's definitely feeling the pressure from Giorgio Mangano. It's great to have the drivers in camera as well, just to see the emotion going on behind the wheel. I mean, I know when I stream, I look like a nervous wreck, so I hate to think what it's like to be there and have Giorgio Mangano breathing down your neck. Of course, we've got our one stat on Giorgio Mangano. We're going to use it, and that he is the first ever World Tour winner back at the Nürburgring in 2018. Feels like a lifetime ago now, of course, given current events, but Giorgio still has the speed, still has the pace, and Baptiste very much an emergence in mid 2019 and just showing the pace he has there, and you're getting a nice little look of the baguette covered rear wing there. I wonder if that's giving him any speed or not.
Let's see what's going to happen then between them. And yes, well, I wonder if the baguette is giving him a bit of extra speed. I mean, it is blooming hot today, I think it's fair to say as well. I mean, not just in the UK where we are, but also where Baptiste Beauvoir is as well, I can imagine, and probably struggling with the heat. And that is a real thing, isn't it, as well? I know we, talk about it with sim racing, but there is such a thing as driver fatigue and mental fatigue in particular, and that's going to be amplified by the weather conditions that these drivers have got to deal with.
Well, you think that, as much as we love our drivers, they are professional athletes. And when you put them in a car which demands the reactions of a professional athlete, and you say, right, do 24 laps and race each other, you come out feeling knackered afterwards. I mean, I did a race at Bathurst the other day. It's definitely not here. And I came out afterwards just feeling like I've run a marathon in my mind. That makes sense, right?
You ever run a marathon?
I don't think I could walk a mile, let alone run 26.
To be fair, you were clapped out after 3 laps in this thing earlier on, weren't you?
Yeah, I had to be hosed down afterwards.
It's very unfortunately true. It's we had to get a new Jimmy Broadbent for the start of the broadcast, I'm afraid to say. Anyway, Giorgio Mangano still putting pressure onto Baptiste Beauvoir. A bit of a slide there coming out, but likewise the same for Beauvoir. This is getting quite interesting here because Mangano's keeping the pressure at a constant between himself and Beauvoir, but just isn't able to find his way through at the moment. What he needs is Beauvoir to either make a mistake, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Mangano is just happy being stuck behind Beauvoir at the moment.
Stuck behind, getting a draft, I don't know. You have to wonder, without the draft, would Mangano be falling back a little bit? We always see him 5 tenths behind him straight after second, and then with his big toe, he then this drives. Oh, I get so nervous watching them drive so close to each other in T1 because the brakes in this thing, you smash the brakes and you scrub off the speed quicker than you can imagine. You can barely keep up with it with downshifts. And then you have to add in the reaction time of reacting to the guy that's just braking in front of you, the new brake. It's crazy. So when they run this close together, I always get a little bit nervous for him.
So coming down through into the right-hander we go then. Giorgio Mangano still putting that pressure on. Coque Lopez there in 3rd position. 3.9 seconds behind these guys. He's just been able to set some good, consistent lap times in this, but those consistent lap times have not been as fast as the leading duo. About 0.6 of a second slower there and thereabouts, and as such, he's falling into the clutches now of Carlos Salazar. Salazar there in 4th position. The man who's on the move and setting some personal best lap times is actually Valerio Gallo in P5.
Yeah, I was about to say that, so I want to say that Gallo is the quickest out of the top 5 right now. He's managed to get past Anderson, who is now dragging along with him, and this is what he needs to be doing. He needs to be setting these good times now, taking time out of them whilst he hasn't got to fight them. Basically, he's thinking ahead. This is a guy he's planned out this race, and that's what you've got to do. That's part of it here. Half of it is driving like a madman. The other half of it is having the strategy in place as well.
Well, I was looking at Emily Jones's Twitter earlier, competitor in the Oceania region, and she had her strategy written down on the back of a pizza box.
Well, I mean, that's a place to write it down.
It works. It works, doesn't it? We'll just call up Domino's and just ask them if they can do that for your strategy.
I've got a whiteboard that just says, give up on it. Yeah, I mean, the strategy is another part of this, and Gallo, of course, doing very well with that right now. He is catching Salazar in front, so now this is the double-edged sword of trying to find that bit of free space. When you start catching someone, you are going to have your times disturbed. You are going to have your racing line disturbed as well. So he's put himself in a bit of free air, but unfortunately his pace is now his undoing.
So then, lots of pressure in the air and 20 laps to go here in round 30 of the Nations Cup. Let's see what is going to happen with our drivers then. Carlos Salazar just in the foreground, as you can see.
10 laps.
10 laps here, sorry, apologies.
You're right.
No, it's been a long day. It's the heat that's getting to me. That's what I'll blame it on, the heat wave that we're having at the moment. When I say heat wave, I mean the 2 hot days that we have in Britain over the summer.
We cherish them.
Yes. And it causes brain fade, unfortunately, for commentators. Maybe that's just me. It's probably just me. Anyway, Giorgio Mangano now closer than ever to Baptiste Beauvoir. Just a couple of tenths of a second separating those 2 drivers. Is Mangano going to be able to pounce? Is he going to want to pounce? Let's see. He's not going to, because they're going to come into the pit lane. But 8 litres of fuel for Beauvoir, 12 litres from Mangano. He'll have to take more fuel on with the Frenchman at the end of this one. Lots of drivers taking more fuel on board now, so this could be the opportunity here for Mangano to leapfrog the Frenchman.
This would be their only stop for fuel, so I'm interested to see what happens. Beauvoir, no. Okay, so he's not going to take the fuel now. He's going to go out on the track, come back round as quick as he can, get back on to that other compounder tyre, get back onto probably a medium or a soft compounder tyre, and then just, again, go for the aim. Gallo's done the same. Gallo's now gone for that medium.
Clear air as well for him, crucially, on this outlet there. So that's quite nice there for him, for Valerio Gallo. He'll be quite welcome after that, because let's bear in mind that he was up a creek without a paddle when he came out last time, because he was in dirty air. So now Valerio Gallo has got some clean air. He's got some soft tyres underneath him, and he has made his final and 3rd stop in this race. So Beauvoir, Lopez, Salazar, to remind you, as well as Mangano, all owe another compound tyre in this race. And, well, they don't own another compound tyre, but they will change over, because they won't want to sit on the hard tyres until the end of this race. They'll probably come back in and then change over to the softs or the mediums for the end of this one. So let's see what's going to happen here. Is this going to be the race lead for Valerio Gallo when it all unravels out? Or will Beauvoir, Salazar, Mangano or Lopez have done enough to try and reverse that?
Well, this is the thing now, that Gallo has the soft tyre. He's taken his fuel as well. So now it's all up to him. He has to put in these really fast laps at the moment. He has to push as much as he can. He's got this free space in front of him. That's going to disappear as soon as they all peel into the pit lane. Here comes Lopez. He's into the soft tyre. 2 litres of fuel. Salazar doing the same thing. Beauvoir, interestingly, has gone round again.
So there we are then. Interesting strategy call there for him. So Lopez, Anderson, Salazar, Swiderick into the pit lane then on lap 15. Gallo comes round again. He's on the soft tyre. He's got clear air. He's got 3rd position in this one as well. Mangano and Beauvoir have got to make those stops. 7.9 seconds separates Gallo from Giorgio Mangano at the moment. But bear in mind, Beauvoir, he owes a bit of fuel as well, we believe. Mangano can't remember if he took fuel on board. It's been such a frantic race at this point. If he did, he's in a good position. If he didn't, it may cost him track position.
No, Mangano's definitely not taking fuel. Gallo is not 7.8 seconds behind on pace, and Mangano still owes some fuel in his last stop. That has to happen at some point. Beauvoir, surely there's got to be a stop coming up for him, because he's not going to go on the hard skins. He will not be able to defend that from Mangano or for Gallo. Those hard tyres, whilst durable, they are not fast, so it's going to have to come in sooner rather than later. I'm surprised already that he's run 2 laps and not just the kind of standard 1 lap, but maybe he's struggling with tyre wear, maybe the way he's driving, maybe the way he's pushing this X2019 isn't allowing him to make those soft tyres last. Anyway, here's Mangano. We expect to see him in probably towards the end of the race for a little splash of fuel, but let's see what happens now. So in comes Beauvoir onto that soft compound tyre. Only 6 litres left in the tank. He would not have made another lap, I do not think. He's going onto the soft tyres now for a fast finish. Importantly, where does he come out compared to Gallo? Fuel going in.
Yeah, Mangano's going to get ahead, but where is Valerio Gallo? Says he's ahead on the timing screen, but we'll wait to see what happens when he comes down the pit lane. There's Gallo. So he hasn't been able to get ahead, and Gallo's got a sizable advantage. So clear air, soft tyres and fuel on board there for Gallo to the end of this race has worked out beautifully for the Italian so far.
Yeah, that's exactly what Gallo wanted to see, and now it's just Mangano, and I'm 100% sure that he owes some fuel, and he also owes a hard compounder tyre, so he'll likely be in on that last lap. So it's going to be tricky, I think. That might not be fuel. That might just be the hard tyre. So that's a pit stop.
It is a pit, yeah. I mean, it was the pit stop last time. What were we talking? Probably about 7 seconds or so. So it's going to be tight if it is. Let's see whether Gallo can do anything to close that gap down. So lap 17 out of 24 we're on here. Now it's a bit of a quiet phase in the race for Valerio Gallo. He's just got to get his head down, not make any mistakes, and push as hard as he damn dare to try and overhaul this man here of Giorgio Mangano. A bit of inter-team rivalry going on here. Both these drivers competing for the Williams esports team, and I imagine the team principal will be probably chewing his fingernails to the bone sat behind the screen watching this at the moment.
Yeah, I think whatever happens to Williams, or whatever happens in this race, I should say, sorry, then Williams will be very, very happy because we have 3 of the top 4 competitors in the Europe region basically knocking it out of the park. You know, that's not a bad thing at all for any team. But every position except the one that matters.
Quite. Well, let's see what happens then, shall we? Now, both are in third position, as you can see there. 4 seconds adrift of Valerio Gallo. His tyres, of course, are a bit fresher than Valerio Gallo. So if Gallo's fall off the cliff at the end of this one, it's not technically out of reach. It's not implausible that Beauvoir could close that gap down. Whether he's able to find his way past is another matter.
Gallo, though, he is on it. That last lap time was his fastest lap of the race, a 23.5, about 10th quicker than Mangano in front. So it's a very fast time, and it's crazy that the fastest lap is only a 10th faster than the guy in front of him who is chasing. That's just how close these guys have been, and it's been that way all season. They've been squabbling for the entirety of this third season here. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch, of course, but it's weird to think the Nations Cup now only has 6 laps remaining.
It has been an incredible 2020. See that twitch there from Baptiste Beauvoir as he came out of that corner? That would have made
It's all in hand.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have made my bottom go like a rabbit's nose, to be honest with you.
Oh, I would have crashed it above me.
Goodness me. So let's see what is going to occur then, coming down through into the final right-hander. It's so difficult to get onto the power out of corners like this, but you can see Gallo just doing a job of making it easy. And that's the thing, when it doesn't look like it's a difficult car to drive, that's when you know how skilled these drivers are, because they are making that look so easy and so smooth. And I think that's one of the characteristics with this car. You can't really be that aggressive with it. You have to just be, as you said earlier on, Jimmy, driving it with your fingertips almost.
It's all about getting that downforce working. Watch his throttle input out of here. Soft, gets it in the straight line, then he gives it the beans. And we come up through this next sector. What's that accelerator input there? Just nothing. Just completely flat all the way through here. 250 k's in that first apex, 280 k's on the way out, 290 before braking for this right-hander. And it's just like that. Down the gears. And then drive it out to the exit here. You can use that curb, it can drag you off though if you're not careful. Then we snake down the hill. What about taking the line of least resistance around here? Gallo showing us the way. Like the pro he is, of course. Then you tuck the car into the left-hander here. Try and spy your braking point just past the 50-metre board if you're Valerio Gallo. And then look for the apex. It doesn't really exist. You have to just try and guess and see where it is. Don't hit the wall on the inside. Again, look for a braking marker up top. At the 50 once more. You can brake so late in this car. Tuck it into the curb on the inside and again on the exit. Really hard to get the throttle right on these. He just, while changing up gears, lift the throttle slightly for traction. And now we go up to 6th and 7th gear for this last section. Flat through here. Brake nice and early. Tuck the car into the right-handed and aim for that blue AstroTurf on the exit. He makes it look easy. It's easy to talk about, but it is not easy to do.
It's unbelievable just to see how they're able to thread the eye of a needle through 150 miles an hour. What's that in Queen's English? 150 is just incredibly fast. Fastest lap, though, speaking of fast, from Baptiste Beauvoir, 123.188 for the Frenchman. He is a man on a mission to try and close that gap down to Valerio Gallo, because he knows that is going to be potentially for the race lead.
It may well be. I'm just wondering, the gap is... I think that must be the hard compound that made that gap, because there wasn't 3.5 seconds earlier on in the race. That's obviously been happening through pit stops. And if Beauvoir wants to be involved in this action, really realistically now he's fighting Mangano. I think Gallo has his one sewn up if he can keep it on the straight and narrow, because he's catching Mangano. He's got, I think, enough time in hand now that if a pit stop was made, Mangano would come out behind Gallo, and of course Mangano will know that as well. And he's pushing hard as well, just not quite as much as these guys behind. Bear in mind, the last lap for Valerio Gallo was a 23.3, which is the fastest lap in the field. Save one man, this one, Baptiste Beauvoir, the 23.1. It's mad how fast these guys are.
So then, let's see with Baptiste Beauvoir, if he can close that gap down. Let's see what this man here, Coque Lopez, can do. He's been a bit quiet really in this mid-stage of the race as the Spaniard but doing a good job there and potentially on for a nice finish in this race. Will it elevate him up in the final championship standings? We'll find out after the checkered flag has dropped. Carlos Salazar, there he is in P5. The Portuguese driver, again, not doing too badly. And also Anderson there as well in 6th position, doing a great job. Not bad race from him at all. And I think one of, if not his first race in the top 16 superstars that we've seen in 2020. And he's kept a lot of our regular competitors quite honest.
Not bad for a newbie, huh? You know, we've seen people come in and people slowly progress up the timesheets. And of course, whilst it will be the end of this Superstar Series for now, end of today, of course, it doesn't mean GT Sport goes away at all, not whatsoever. And just as I was praising Anderson, he makes a mistake coming out the right-hander. Commentator's curse, still alive, it seems.
There we go. Oh dear. Sorry about that, Anderson. Apologies. You see a flash of the lights there from Martin Swillery, just trying to distract the Swede. But yeah, you're absolutely right there, Jimmy. We've got lots of exciting stuff in the pipeline for 2020 and the remainder of. Here is Adam Taswilla, meanwhile, putting some pressure on the German of Kravchenko then. So, trying to break the toe. He is as they come under the bridge into the right hand, and then they're going to flick it left. Is this going to be an opportunity for Sassuolo to try and find his way through? He's looking very menacing. He's looking very close. He's looking for an opportunity, but not quite able to find one at the moment there. Kravchenko doing a great job of defending that line, holding firm. Sassuolo, though, clearly looking like the quicker of the two drivers at the moment.
A bit of a weave there from Kravchenko, I think. He sort of took both lines. You can't have both, mate. You've got to pick one as you go through there. But Sassuolo, yeah, as you said, looking very very feisty in these later stages of the race. Would have been nice if this happened earlier on for Adam, of course. I mean, it's weird to think that the lowest William eSports driver is Adam. There was a time where Adam was dominating these races, and just kind of, I think, goes to show just how the level has just risen relentlessly.
Well, as a result of that, if he finishes where he is, he's going to drop down the standings as well, which is a shame there for him. I tell you, man, who's also going to drop down as well is the man who we were talking about earlier on, getting a bit of TV time, Marcus Connonen. As a result of staying out, he lost 5 positions and he's down in P10, qualified in P5, is, as you can see, just in the back of the shot in P10 at the moment.
Sometimes you get it wrong. And unfortunately for Mr. Connonen, this is one of those times. Kravchenko, though, still running well ahead of Sassuolo. And coming now around to the back end of the circuit. This is a good place to overtake, not this right-hander here, but the run down to the very quick right-hander at the bottom of this hill. So we're looking back then from Kravchenko. Great view back from the X2019 here. You can just about see Adam Taswilla in the background there. A bit further back than he has been. There he is, looking rather threatening. Looks like a bit of a jet fighter, this thing, coming up behind it. Will he go to the inside? He goes rather alongside. Kravchenko again does the same sort of thing, takes a later line in. I think I called that blocking last time. I think I was wrong. It was just a later line, a good defensive move there by Kravchenko. As long as he's doing that, Sassuolo will not be able to find his way by.
He's going to have to keep an eye on his mirrors there, Sassuolo, as well, because Connonen is closing all the time. He's losing time to Kravchenko, a bit sideways there going through, so he just kind of needs to force the German into a mistake, or indeed hope that he makes one all on his own, and that will allow the opportunity for Sassuolo to find his way back past. But no luck so far there for the British driver. Swiderick there just in the front of your shot, you can see in P7. Quite race for him as things stand, but not bad at all. You can see there Kravchenko moving over towards the pit wall, trying to break the toe of Sassuolo from that close behind. But let's see how things go then. Through into the left-hander King, on the brakes, in towards the second corner. We're now on the penultimate lap, so it's this lap that Giorgio Mangano is going to come into the pit lane. He's going to surely have to take a bit of fuel on board, potentially, in that car as well. If he hasn't taken fuel on board, then he'll have to take it on. If he has, then he might be okay, and it might be able to salvage a podium out of it. Either way, Gallo has surely got this race lead sewn up. 5.7 seconds that gap sits at. Now was a big old moment there for Kravchenko coming into the right-hander. He was lucky he didn't swap ends on him.
I think it's in this car, as soon as that's happened and you've reacted to it naturally, you can't just come to go, oh, I survived. Nice. Okay, there's almost no conscious effort there. So this man, Giorgio Mangano, he's had a lot of the race, but that will end now. He'll peel into the pit lane. He has to take the hard compounder tyre. It is a mandatory stop. If he missed the pits now, he would be disqualified. So in he comes, and that means Valerio Gallo behind will take the lead on the hard compounder tyre. The important thing for Mangano is where will he come out in relation to Baptiste Beauvoir. So on board with Valerio, leading now onto the final lap. The only time you really want to lead on the last lap. There is Mangano, there is Beauvoir. He goes sweeping round the outside, manages to jump Giorgio Mangano in the pit stop there. Mangano on the hard compounder tyre, so he will not be able to react to that. And Beauvoir has been catching Gallo, but I think it'll be too little, too late.
Well, that's disappointing there for Valerio Gallo. His heart was sunk as he went past, his Baptiste Beauvoir went past him coming out of the pit lane there. Either way, what a race it has been from this man here of Valerio Gallo. It's not over yet. Meanwhile, looks like Swillow down in 8th position has managed to get the better of Kravchenko. I say that, it's changing position left, right and centre between the Brit and the German. That is for P8 now in this race on the final lap, but I think it's so hard to overstate just how impressive this man here, Valerio Gallo, has been in 2020. A real coming of age for the Italian driver. It's not going to be enough for him, as we know, to take the overall spoils in the standings, but it has been a meteorically impressive performance. Just to give you an idea of his stats in the Nations Cup in 2020, he's taken 34 races, he's had 20 top 5 finishes, and he's had 9 race victories as well. But that is soon to become 10, because out of the final corner he comes now. Valerio Gallo, across the line he comes to win round 30 of the Nations Cup. He takes the win in the final race of our 2020 online season. Baptiste Beauvoir finishes in 2nd position. Giorgio Mangano makes it a Williams Esports 1-3 podium in 3rd position. Lopez in 4th. Salazar comes home in P5 there as well. But what a great race it was, and just calm, under control from the start for Valerio Gallo. Pole position and the win. Couldn't ask for more than that.
Definitely not, and of course not to forget the Baptiste Beauvoir that was already sewn up is the championship winner, I suppose. I guess that's what we're going to call it, isn't it? Of the last season here in the Nations Cup round 30. He would have wanted to end it off with a win, but a fantastic effort for him. But Gallo just had his number, just knew how to play the pit stops perfectly to his advantage, and comes out 1.6 seconds ahead of anybody else. Mangano in 3rd place, Coque Lopez 4th. I think it's so fitting that our top 4 drivers finish in the top 4 slots.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does go to show that, well, the cream always rises to the top, and that is the case for Valerio Gallo. A very well-deserved victory, and very well-deserved from our top 4 competitors, and indeed all of our competitors in that top 16 Superstars race. Great to see 15 out of the 16 drivers making the checkered flag with some very strong results. Confirmation of them on your screen, as you can see now. So Salazar finishing in 5th. Anderson in 6th position ahead of Swillerig. So Swillow did get the better of Kravchenko at the end of that race. Collinan in 9th, Kravchenko in 10th. Then Rodriguez, MX Steve, Grady down in 13th position. Not a good race for him at all there, ahead of Silva and Sicci. Sadly, Jones did not make the checkered flag at the end of that race, but very exciting. What a way to end the Nations Cup in the EMEA region.
We'll start us off a different way, okay? Because of course we've been following you the entire season. We're very impressed. Of course you are, the winner. You are top of the standings after 30 rounds. So stay there. Stay there.
He's got you a present.
Thanks, we went all the way to get you a baguette. This has not been sitting in a car all day. It's a bit worse for wear. It's a bit wobbly.
Use it as a police baton afterwards, I think, to be honest.
So, Mick got a Nations Cup trophy, you got a baguette, so
it's a fair trade, isn't it? How does it feel, mate, to be first after like 30 rounds of the online season? Are you happy with yourself?
Yeah, very happy. My target was to win the nation. I did it, so I'm very happy. Now I wanted to thank all drivers in top split for the incredible battle during the whole season. Congrats to Valerio, well deserved mate. He did an incredible job since the last year. He improved a lot. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm happy, very happy.
Good stuff, mate. Well, Baptiste, many congratulations for your result this season, and it's been a pleasure for us to have watched you and do so well over the course of 2020, and we look forward to seeing you on track later on this year, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, you guys. Thank you.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Oh,
stay there, mate. Stay there.
Apparently we have Valerio here as well, so it'd be nice to have a little chat between you two. There he is.
Oh!
Hey guys, it's me, Valerio. What's up?
Hey Valerio, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm so exhausted because of this race, but yeah, I'm so happy.
Well, I'll tell you
I'm
what,
so happy.
It's good to have you both here. We have essentially our two
champions.
First of all, Valerio, just sum up in a few words. How has 2020 been for you? Because this has really been a season where you've really come on form.
All these races, I battled till the end, gave my 110% to try to be competitive with the fastest guys. It was one of my targets. Baptiste was and still is one of the fastest guys in Europe, as I consider. But also for some races, I said, okay, let's try to win some races at least.
Baptiste, what do you have to say to that, mate? Have you got any words for Valerio as well?
For me, Valerio just improved a lot his driving style since the last year. It's incredible how he's fast now. He's obviously a very difficult rival to beat. And I'm sure in the future it's going to be one of the best. Definitely.
Thank you.
Oh, nice stuff, boys. So is this going to be like a continuing sort of theme? Do you think we're going to see you guys battling in the future when we come back to doing our World Tour events and so on?
I'm sure, and I wanna hope that, because if we battle for a season, for one long season, I expect that something is gonna still come on in the next events, let's say. Yeah.
So the new Fraga and Azel then, yeah?
Yeah. Let's see.
We try.
You're going to watch manufacturers very, very shortly as well. You guys have obviously done enough to secure your positions. Who's your money on for those races? Who are you keeping an eye out for in the manufacturer series?
For myself, I think Nico for this combo is looking very strong with the Volkswagen.
Same for me. Same opinion. I really think Nico, definitely.
Valerio, Baptiste, great to catch up with you. As I said, huge congratulations on your 2020 results. It's been a pleasure for us to bring you that coverage and to commentate on all of those fantastic battles, and we look forward to doing it again in the future.
Thank you guys for everything, for all this year, and also Baptiste for the fights and the championship.
Yeah, thanks, you too, mate. And don't forget to eat baguette, please.
No.
Baguette
also spaghetti, mate.
Small errors there has cost McDonald, and it could cost him a position here. On the inside they go into Wicks. Is he going to go try and hold it the long way around the outside there for Wilt? They run side by side on the exit. Here comes Matt McEwen ready to come through. Side by side we go with McEwen on the inside, down in towards Puon. He goes for the move. He gets the position. Now Brooks is through into third place. Here comes Heck down the inside of Troncoso. Side by side action on lap 17, and the Porsche is now going to be ahead of the Citroen, but is he going to be able to retaliate into the next corner? Look in the background as well, because up the inside for sixth position was Agacard. That was on Carey. He's gone wide again into that right-hander. That allows Bishop to pull alongside. They're running side by side. Is Bishop going to go clean around the outside? That'll be a hell of a move if he can pull it off. Running side by side up in towards Yun Cao. Mahinderjan on the inside, Bishop on the outside. Can the Kiwi do it? Yes, he can. Side by side we go through the centre S. Beauvoir has got the outside line there, bashing door handles and wing mirrors as we come through turn 3. Gallo still holds on in defence, but here comes Coque Lopez down the Retroposta then. So in the slipstream for Beauvoir, challenging for the lead, but here comes Lopez on the outside. We're nearly going 3 wide down the straight. Of course, it's a very different tyre compound strategy here, and here comes Lekowski on the inside as Holland makes a mistake on the corner exit, and Lekowski goes through into the lead, surely into Yun Cao. Side by side they go. The Mercedes takes the lead away. The Manufacturer Series highlights, otherwise known as the 2020 Tom Brooks commentary show reel.
I know, right? It's only one guy who does this.
See ya.
I'm done.
So what were your highlights from the season?
I think just that Spa race. That Spa race is fantastic. No pit stops. Everyone in very similar cars. Lots of draft. It was just this really high-speed game of chess. We say that a lot, but that was definitely a case of that there. And it was we didn't know it was going to win until it came down to the last lap. It was mad.
I have to say, I loved that Group 3 battle that we had at Interlagos. That was just unreal, wasn't it? Side by side with Coque, with Mangano, Beauvoir was there as well. It's just brilliant racing all the way through 2020. That was, of course, then. This is now. Last week, we have round 28. Let's take a look at some highlights, shall we, and see what happened last time. Race gets underway as Lopez leads the field over the timing line, weaving there in the background for a few drivers trying to get heat into the tyres, as does Coque Lopez, as you can see as we ride on board.
Try and make a move down into the first corner side by side. I'm sure Coque Lopez won't fight it too much given they are teammates. And Gallo goes up into the lead then to get the car sideways. That allows Moisov to fire the big train behind to catch him up. Anger's on the outside now, as we're saying, Moisov there passing for 130R. We planned that.
Here's the continuing theme of Mangano versus Moisov coming out of the hairpin side by side. Mangano is now ahead of the Czech driver.
Hey, finally has found a way by Nikita Moisov. Maybe, let's see, coming down to spoon curve. He is by, finally.
Lopez trying to find his way through, late on the brakes. He's going to try and go around the outside, but Gallo holds firm. He holds the line off, and he holds the race lead coming through the final corner. Valerio Gallo wins the Manufacturers Series race for round 28 of the top 16 Superstars. Fantastic racing we had in round 28 of the top 16 Superstars. It's just lovely to see it, isn't it, really? All of those manufacturers fighting at the sharp end of the field. I mean, I think it was like 6, 7, 8 manufacturers in the top 8 positions.
But Coque liked it, didn't he?
He did.
He had a good time out there in the Bimmer. But that's been, I think, a running theme this year, is that it doesn't really matter which manufacturer you're a part of, unless you're Alpha. You've always got a chance to be at the top of the field. Alpha got a foul BO3, didn't they? Listen.
Yeah, they've not had a good run of it this year, unfortunately. It's not been good for them. It hasn't necessarily been that good recently for Mercedes, actually. They've kind of been a bit off colour.
Well, you say that, but who's leading the global standings?
I say that, yeah, exactly. I mean, Beauvoir did capitalise earlier on this season, has had a bit of a tougher time of it late. Let's take a look at the championship standings, shall we? Valerio Gallo for Honda leads the way.
Yeah. But Mercedes isn't doing very well, Jimmy.
All right, Broadbent, all right, pipe down. Just because it's the last show, there's no need to go on the offensive, is there? It's Thomas Kabilia there in 4th position here as well. We haven't seen much of him lately. Nikita Moisov was featuring quite heavily in the last few rounds as well. It's all, pretty close for 3rd position, isn't it?
Look at that. I mean, there's literally a point there. It's that is nothing. That is basically having a better race than the other guy in this last race. Now, of course, just like Nations Cup, it's the top 8 results that count. So even though we've had 30 rounds, or this will be the 30th round, only the top 8 results will be counted. So that might not necessarily be the way that things end. If someone has a good race today, they could shoot up the order. Of course, conversely, if they had a bad race, they might end up falling down the order. So still all to play for.
And up next, the weather, or...?
No,
we're done. Sorry, I thought you were doing that with your hand gestures. I thought that's what was going on. Goodness me. Anyway, round 30 is set to come then very, very shortly here for the EMEA region. Qualifying is ready to take place very shortly as well. What are your predictions for that?
Oh, that's a tough one to say, man. You always put me on the spot with this stuff. I think that given the circuit, I think it's going to be strong. It's a power circuit here at Tokyo. So I think anything maybe like the Audi, if that's there as well, that's been very fast in a straight line, but not necessarily in GT3 trim. We've seen that the Mercedes is pretty quick around here as well. But unfortunately, no Beauvoir, he's not taking part in this race, so we might not see that take hold. It's a tough one. If you've got a lot of power underneath your right foot, you're going to have a good time here.
Well, let's find out and see what happens, shall we? And in a few moments' time. But first of all, actually, let's take a look, shall we, at the circuit. The Tokyo Expressway is the track that we're at, a fictional track in GT Sport that is based around the real-world Tokyo Expressway. I've actually been around there. It's pretty phenomenal, I've got to be honest with you. Sadly, it wasn't in a Group 3 Aston Martin or a Mercedes, but you can see here, this is the circuit. It's got quite a few turns, quite a few straights there though as well, and quite a few overtaking opportunities. In particular, turn 11 and the tight hairpins are good places to try and pass your opponents.
Yeah, great place to try and pass down there as well. Of course, you got this big rise up the hill as well. Lots of slipstream zones. This is the big thing around here. Even if you're the faster driver, you have a car quicker in the corners. If you're giving a slipstream to someone else, you just sit and target pretty much the entire way. So sometimes in this race, being at the lead isn't really the best place to be.
Yeah, maybe you want to be the cat rather than the mouse.
Yeah, maybe.
Exactly. Anyway, let's head over, shall we, and get qualifying underway.
Right then, so we just joined Nikita Moisov currently on his hot lap in qualifying for the Manufacturers Series. We're now on our way down towards the hairpin. It's a long run down here out of T1. You get all the way up into the Rev Range in the Aston Martin Vantage, 160 mile an hour here. Now look for your braking marker. It's on the left-hand side just above us. We're going to brake at the end of the curb there and chop the car in into this very difficult section of right-handers. Try and use the curb as much as possible. Don't cut it too much though, because that is an off-track penalty. Then the left on the way out. Watch out for that barrier on the right. It comes up closer than you think. And now for a very fast, very technical right-hander. Use the downforce of this Group 3 car. Let the car then just drift out to the left. And now we go down, well, we call it a straight, but it's not really straight, into the tunnel. It's all about keeping flat through here, so watch the accelerator there on the right, that green input at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, that's flat all the way through. It's like threading a needle through here, and just moving over to the right-hand side as someone comes by as Romero, they're using the draft. So that VW in a straight line is awesomely quick. My word, that appeared out of nowhere. There is Romero, and he's coming now down to the hairpin. We'll go on board with him for the hairpin. Chuck it in there, the bits on the left-hand side. That's where you go halfway through the race, also just about keeping that VW under wraps as we now go back up to the end of the lap. This is actually a really tricky section up here because it's just a series of blind right-handers there as a guy gets out of our way. Chuck the car in, have faith the car will stick. Then into the left-hand. It's all about getting the right line through here. You get the wrong line, you carry the mistake all the way through, and then we come into the final corner, a square left-hander. Chuck the car at the inside, don't touch the barrier on the inside or outside, then run to the line. And that is a hot lap here at Tokyo Expressway with two different drivers. I've never done that before.
Nicely done there, Jimmy. So Nico Romero comes over the line and improves in terms of time, but not in position. He's second quickest in this session. Nikita Moisov then at the end of this session. Does he improve? No, I don't think it's going to be an improvement on this lap. Lots of other drivers caught in traffic though. Adam Tapai, who is third fastest in this session, has backed off as everybody else is just stuck in and amongst one another. Look at Giorgio Mangano for Lamborghini. He's down there 15th fastest. He needs to pull something out of the hat at the moment to get himself up the order.
Yeah, the draft has got a lot of time round here, which is why they're all bunching up right now, just trying to get a little bit of a slipstream. Giorgio Mangano should say 15th place. That's right down the order. He needs a great lap here. But unfortunately for him, he's heading a bit of a train. Behind him is Carlos Salazar there in the Mazda. You can hear it by the rotary engine reverberating off this tunnel here as we come down to the heaven, pushing that Lamborghini down, saying, come on, mate, get on with it. We've got places to be, times to set through this left into the right. Nice and easy through again, like threading the needle in the background. Jose Brea as well in the Citroen, getting a great run coming down to the hairpin. He's had a draft all the way down, hard on the brakes now, and Mangler now is a bit of a cork in the bottle.
So through into the hairpin we go for the final time, then into the final sector. Jose Brea there in sixth position. You can see as well Chris Malky not too far behind either. So let's see if things are going to change. Looks like Naudi was also in and amongst the mix there as well. So through into the final series of corners, can any of these drivers improve? Just looking at the sector times, few drivers on personal bests. Nico Romero in turn was also on a personal best, but he lost time as we saw when he came over the timing line. Can Mangano improve though? He needs to for that Lamborghini team. Salazar and Brea wanting to do exactly the same. Just one more corner before the start finish straight, and over the line we go. Rodriguez does improve, but it's only 13th fastest. That is a disaster of a qualifying as Lopez goes up to 6th quickest, but lots of drivers losing out massively in the final stages. Goodness me, what an exciting qualifying session at the end there. A lot of drivers I think are going to be pretty cheesed off after that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a hard place to qualify around there. Every man for himself, and some people just didn't get out alive.
No, absolutely not. Let's take a look, shall we, at the race details going into the final race of round 30 of the online season then. So the Tokyo Expressway in Group 3 cars on racing medium tyres. So crucially, only one tyre compound available for these drivers here now.
Only one tyre compound, and we expect one stop somewhere in the middle of the race. As we said, drafting is going to be very important around here as well. So keeping those tyres alive and finding a nice drafting partner, I think, is going to be the key to winning this race.
Yeah, you can see on your screen as well the penalty line just coming out of turn number 5 in towards turn number 6. Not a place you want to be getting a penalty because that's heading into quite a fast part of the lap.
It's not too bad. You do a corner straight after, so it isn't as bad as we've seen in other circuits, but still, of course, you never want a penalty, do you?
No, quite. It's not ideal. Anyway, that's that. This is now. Let's go over, shall we, and start the Manufacturer Series race. For the final time in 2020, the FIA Gran Turismo Championships Stage 3 gets underway for the Manufacturer Series, and here is how the cars line up. Nikita Moisov is on pole position, the Czech driver in the Aston V12 Vantage. Nico Romero in the Volkswagen, we saw that on-board lap with him, lines up second quickest. Adam Tapai is third fastest here, the Hungarian driver for the Ford GT. Naudi, the Frenchman, is in the Citroen GT in fourth place. Then P5, Carlos Salazar in the Mazda RX Vision GT3 concept, that rotary engine howling. Jorge Lopez, one of the few drivers to improve at the end of that session, he lines up in 6th. Jose Brea, P7 for the Spaniards. And then P8 on the grid is Mamel, the Finnish driver, with a very Jimmy Broadbent approved livery by the sounds of things there. Chris Malky lines up in P9 in the Chevrolet Corvette. Buller is in 10th position. We've got a onboard camera with him as well for this race. Villa lines up in P11. And P12 is Melvin Abraham Hagen. What can he do from quite far down the order in the Mazda Atenza? Kravchenko in the Porsche 911. is 13th, and then 14th place Manny Rodriguez there in the Audi R8. The final row of the grid, Frober in the Aston V12 Vantage, and then the man who has got it all to do from last position, Giorgio Mangano, the Italian in the Lamborghini, 16th place. What's going to be going through his mind right now?
I wish I qualified better. I think is pretty much it. I mean, starting in the back here is not ideal. It's a street circuit, but it isn't too hard to pass here. You think otherwise, again, given that it's a street circuit. But lots of sections to use slipstream rounds here. That Lamborghini, we know, not too fast in a straight line, so it will benefit from some of the draft. But this man, Nikita Moisov, out front in the Aston Martin, he all he's got to do really is look in his mirror and watch out for Nico Romero behind. Coming round now, the right-hander, about to start our last race of the season for Manufacturers Series.
So then, Nikita Moisov has the honours of leading the field over the timing line for the final time in 2020. Will he have the honour of taking the checkered flag in 17 laps? We'll find out very shortly indeed. It is round 30 of the 2020 online season for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. One last time for the EMEA region, the Manufacturers Series race here at the Tokyo Expressway is underway then. Nikita Moisov leads the field over the line as the drivers dart into the slipstream then as we head in towards the first corner then. Weaving going on as they get some heat into those medium compound of tyres. Nobody's going to make any moves into those first couple of turns you wouldn't expect, but they are going to try and close up on their competitors. Moisov has got a clear track in front of him, but they're coming onto a very long straight and he could be coming under a bit of pressure before too long for the likes of Nico Romero and Adam Tapai. Keep an eye out in the background as well. Looks like Jorge Lopez has lost some positions. He's down into 7th position. Jose Brea in turn making a place. There he is in the Citroen. He's up into 6th place after qualifying in 7th. Look at Buller coming down the inside there of Christopher Malky and Mammal as well. So he's now into 9th place. Wasn't able to get ahead of the Chevrolet. So 9th position there for him and a penalty there for Mammal. So clearly some contacts going on in the opening few corners.
Yeah, penalty at this stage of the race is bad news. He's going to drop a lot of positions. That will be served on the next lap, not on the first. We're currently following Buller in the Audi right now, but Jorge Lopez, not a good start for him. Lost a place in the first corner. We said there's going to be no overtaking there, but straight away he got mugged. Meanwhile, front of the field, Moisov coming under pressure from Nico Romero already, to pie behind as well. A 10th of a second. There is Romero in that VW. That thing is a rocket in the straight line, I swear. They're side by side coming out of the tunnel. Romero swipes back inside of Moisov and takes the lead. Now Moisov's under a threat from Adam Tapai in the Ford as well. They're going to go two abreast coming into the hairpin. Moisov holds the inside line. In the background, Salazar throwing it up the inside of Naldi in the Citroen, trying to make his presence known as well. A little bit of a slow exit though, owing from a tight corner, so not quite getting around off the corner the way Naldi did, but these guys going at it early. They all know track position is important around here, and leading rather than following is always preferred, but of course got to make sure you're taking account of the slipstreams too. Also, Giorgio Mangano up to 13th place from last on the grid.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was going to say we need an onboard camera with Giorgio Mangano, don't we, just to see what he's doing, because he's slinging one up the inside of everyone now by the sounds of things. Into 13th position for the Lamborghini Huracan driver. That'll be some kind of a welcome result there for him, but he's got 1.7 seconds to make up to Melvin Abraham Hagen then, who is his next competitor in P12. On board here with Carlos Salazar through into the first turn. We go, hug the inside of the corner there, then run it towards the outside. You can see a few drivers just scraping the barrier, kicking up a few sparks. That's okay, but if they do it to their advantage too frequently, the game will hit them with a penalty. So despite like they're not actually being track limits in the sense of running off track onto AstroTurf or onto grass or gravel as such, there are still track limits here, and they are enforced in the game, to remind you. So they've got to keep an eye out for that one.
It's a tricky one here as a driver, because you're trying to extend the circuit as much as possible, trying to use as much of it to carry as much speed as you can. So there comes a time where, of course, the circuit sort of runs out and it becomes barrier, and it's about towing that line, trying to find out where best to place your car. And Naldi, of course, doing a good job there and keeping right on the tail of this leading bunch. Romero leads it, Moisov second, Tapai in front of us in third. We're on board with Naldi in the Citroen. Going for this tunnel section now, you see it's nowhere near a straight line. It's a very high speed threading of the needle in this group recast, 170 miles an hour as we now come up to the hairpin. Tapai in front looking on the back of Moisov. We're not quite able to stay with him in our Citroen though. We are being pulled along by the tow. Salazar also in the background behind us. Moisov then having to defend from Tapai, who looked around the long way around there but couldn't quite make that stick in the forward, and the positions stay the same for now.
So then coming on to the straight we go once more. Nico Romero riding on board with us. Malky's got himself ahead of Jose Brea into P6 there, but look as Romero comes under ever increasing pressure from the pole sitter of Nikita Moisov. Can the Czech driver find his way back through before too long? It's going to be an uphill struggle for him here to try and hold on to that lead, Nico Romero, the Spaniard, but stranger things have happened. All of these drivers, you can see the first to fifth there, putting out a significant margin to Chris Malky in the background. So they are kind of running their own race there and thereabouts. There's a big old gap back to Malky and Lopez, for example, as well as Jose Brea and Buller, who are caught up in that. So all these groups sort of beginning to splinter off now.
Yeah, Brea had a little moment in the background there. We just caught it. He got it wrong and went into the inside wall. Luckily, bounced off somewhat and managed to maintain some momentum, but did lose a couple of places to these guys, Malky and Lopez, who are now pretty much pushing each other down the straight towards a series of right hands coming up down to the end of the road here. And there's Romero and Salazar going up the inside of Naldi there in the Mazda, getting that thing working great. It's awesome to hear the Mazda more than it is to see it almost around here. It's such a great noise from that rotary. In the beginning, you're hearing the exhaust of it right now as we come into the tunnel section. Again, this very tricky right-hander. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. There's a little bit of camber to help you out there, but on exit, it's so easy just to extend the corner a bit too much, tap the barrier on the left, and just ruin your momentum all the way through here. So we're seeing that Naldi and that Citroen. That Citroen isn't quite at the straight line speed it needs to stay with these guys, but the only reason he's there is because the draft is being just pulled along.
That Mazda is meteoric in a straight line. We've seen that in other regions there as well. Chris Malky, by the way, had a shocker. He had a penalty. We just saw it coming up on his screen. You'd have seen that with the red dot next to his name. He's now down in 9th position as a result of that penalty that he has received. You can see Tapai versus Carlos Salazar. Salazar trying to find his way through into 3rd place, but not able to do so at the moment. Tapai holding firm, the Hungarian driver, but let's see whether he is going to be able to find his way back past into the next series of corners. So Nikita Moisov there still sits in 2nd position. In front of him, Nico Romero. Behind him, Adam Tapai coming through there now. So much one at a time through there. You just don't want to risk anything against your fellow competitor. There's so few overtaking opportunities at this circuit that it's just not really worth the risk. And compromising not only your race, but probably your competitor's race as well.
Yeah, you try telling them that, though. They're all about the position. When you're a driver, you're like, right, that guy's slower than me, I'm going to get by him. That's pretty much how your state of mind goes, and also you become a Londoner.
Yeah, so they sound like belonging on a twist as well.
Yeah, maybe they do. You know, maybe they, who knows? Please, sir, can I have some more top speeds? Is what they're going to be asking for.
Goodness.
Here is Salazar on board in that Mazda. You see firmly staring at the back of that 4GT as we come again down to the bottom half of the circuit, hard on the brakes. And you see that that Ford not quite as confident on the brakes as the Mazda is of Salazar. Meanwhile, 6th, 7th and 8th, Brea, Lopez and Buller behind as well. Jose Brea sort of kind of hanging on in that Citroen. Now I suspect we'll see him lose out on the coming straight.
Yeah, it's not the fastest car on a straight line. We've seen that already. And Coque Lopez, who has gone a little bit further back than he would have liked to off the start, lost a position compared to where he qualified. He was in P6, he's now down in P7. Would like to at least get back into that position. The problem is for him, if he gets back ahead, he hasn't got to slip through with the car in front because they're 3 seconds clear of these drivers who are squabbling at the moment. So through the tunnel we go. Has Coque Lopez got anything in the locker? What about Buller behind in the Audi? Here we go then for Lopez. He's got the advantage of the slipstream. Brea is wide to that. There's a bit of a bump between them. So I wonder if that was intentional or not. Maybe he was caught up. It wasn't intentional. There's a 1 second penalty there for Jose Brea, and that's not his fault at all.
No, definitely not. But penalties there. Coque Lopez is going to have to try and, well, he should be able to quite easily get by him now. He's giving a little biff, and he'll be able to pull by in the penalty zone. In the background, David Villa, I should say, because he's French, got himself ahead of Chris Malky. He's now into 9th place. Malky continues going backwards. Same place. Carlos Salazar has got himself ahead of Tapai. Will he say that? He's running side by side with him. There's contact between the right-hander. That sends Salazar off into the wall. Tapai down into 4th position. He was lucky to not get a penalty from that there, but there we go. That's as things stand. And all the while they've been battling, it's allowed Romero and Moisov to put 1.6 seconds between these three. No idea how they survived that little tangle between the three of them there, but they're all still going. Salazar, of course, up to 3rd place now after that. Probably thinking, oh, that was lucky. I'm here now. So can I now catch Moisov in front? The gap is 1.5 seconds, so them having that little mini accident there, or threatening to have an accident anyway, means the gap now has opened up to the point where there's no longer a slipstream for Salazar, and he's feeling that big time now as having to pay in the Ford. V8 in the back of that thing, just driving on by the rotary-powered Vision car on the right-hander, and then goes in too deep into the bottom section there. Salazar finds his way by. Naldi has a look as well, but can't quite get his nose on the inside. And they are, even though this is happening, they're still all catching the guys in front, so obviously making good pace whilst fighting.
Jose Brea being given a penalty there for one reason or other. He's just about to go through that and drop down behind Buller as well as Lopez then. So Buller has made a good ascension through the field. He's made 4 positions, qualified in P10, now in P6. That's Christmas come early for the Audi driver. There he is in P6. Only made his debut, I believe, last time in the top 16 Superstar. So nice to see him fighting at the sharper end of the field. There's Chris Mauki with another penalty. His race going from bad to worse, half a second or so. That's presumably for exceeding track limits. Meanwhile, here is Buller versus Lopez. Audi, I should say, rather, BMW. And now Lopez is ahead, and here comes Jose Brea on the inside of Buller then, coming down into the braking zone. He is already ahead in the Citroen, so Buller clearly lost a bit of momentum going through there. Here comes Abraham Hagen versus Mauki side by side, and Abraham Hagen sends it through the inside. Was there a bit of contact between himself and Chris Mauki there? Mauki coming into the pit lane, so maybe not, and maybe that's what Mauki wants to do, get those medium tyres off, and a bit of damage limitation for him perhaps.
Yeah, but he's got to serve that penalty as well, and he won't have the draft. He's taking himself out of the draft, and the draft is very important around here. So you can go, oh yeah, undercut, but oh wait, I'm losing 10 mile an hour down the straight because I'm not on the slipstream anymore. So it's hard to balance that, it really is. But Mauki's still going to have that penalty. Buller, we're focusing on right now, is right at the back of Coque Lopez again. That Audi, it just seemed to almost crawl through that last section. It just did not have any speed whatsoever. And meanwhile, we're back with Tapay and Salazar. Of course, Tapay has lost out, or sorry, has gained. He's got past Salazar now. But now Salazar, of course, is in the hot seat. He has the draft. He'll be able to pull by with the rotary-powered Mazda. Goes up to the inside. Now, will Tapay fight this or not? I think at this point, this is when you have to start working together, because Moisov is now 2 seconds at the road instead of 1.5.
Through into the right hand, you can see Salazar slung it up the inside there of Tapay. Was he able to get it through? No, Tapay gets it back on the corner exit. The Ford GT is once again ahead of the Mazda RX GT3 concept there. So it's as you were for third position. The gap's now beginning to spread out. Just to remind you, they are only running the medium compound tyre in this race, and that's the only tyre they have to run as well. We should be expecting the drivers to be making a pit stop. If you like Chris Mauki, he's already gone and done that, got on off those medium tyres as soon as he possibly could. But let's see what's going to happen with them. Here comes Salazar retaliating back against Adam Tapay. In the slipstream he goes once more. Tapay those wise to that. Good legs on the straight line there for that Ford. Despite being an old dog, you can teach it new tricks clearly, because he's in third position. There is Adam Tapay, and that Ford is quite clearly very comfortable on the straights compared to the Mazda.
I mean, yeah, the engine in the back of that thing is... but that any of his cars wouldn't be fast down the straight, I'd tell you that. Here's Brea and Coque Lopez. Lopez still in 7th place, still down, of course, in his qualifying position. He's on board here with the Spanish driver. Of course, won last time out in a Superstar race at Suzuka in the Group 4 cars. Not quite having the same luck here in the Group 3 cars.
No, that is very true. It's interesting, isn't it? Because certain cars are faster due to the BOP, and certain drivers just suit certain cars a little bit better. Maybe that's why they're not quite as quick. Who knows? Anyway, Coque Lopez, who we're riding on board with here, still consistently putting this pressure on to Jose Brea. And Coque, I wonder if he'll be a little bit disappointed with his positioning in this race. We saw him fighting at the sharper end, of course, and fighting for the victory last time out in the Manufacturers Series at Suzuka. Not such here, though. Doesn't seem to have the pace underneath him in Group 3 trim.
No, not quite the same. It's the M6, I should say, in this car. I always forget which one's which. The BMW, the M6 not quite as quick around here. I mean, it's struggling to stay on this Citroen, and that's slow in the straight line, so you have to think what's happened to the BMW. And again, look, Salazar and Tapay, they are definitely not working together, because that gap is now 2.5 seconds, and they're still squabbling over the third best. Come on, guys, work together, and you can catch these two in front, I think. But of course, sometimes you get a little bit short-sighted as a driver. You see the guy in front and go, I must overtake him. And then forget about the other guys fighting. Oh, hello. Bit of interesting business there going on with Romero, but Moisov and him are still fighting. Moisov has the draft now. Now, these guys, I feel like they're just changing paces and doing what we recommend third and fourth do, and work together a bit.
But it certainly does help working together, doesn't it, if you can, because look at the gap that they've got over the rest of the field now, 2.7 seconds. That's a week in terms of this circuit as well, because once you've got out of the slipstream, your lead is pretty much unassailable. The thing is, they're working together at the moment. There's going to come a time where they're going to have to swallow their pride and start battling with one another if it stays as it is. You'd imagine that they'll probably follow similar strategies in terms of the pit lane. So as soon as Romero comes in, Moisov will pit. Maybe Moisov might try and do the undercut perhaps, but he'll have to come out and hope that he's got a slipstream, which is one of the only sort of circuits, this, where you really hope that you come out behind another driver. You don't really want to be in traffic because you need the advantage of that slipstream on straight.
The thing is, the VW is so strong here. It's got so much top end. You're seeing that we were doing 170 mile an hour on board with Moisov in the draft, and Romero was pretty much doing the same speed, matching us at the top end. So that VW has very little drag, it seems. It can just continue and keep pushing up through the revs and not really have to worry about being slow in the slipstream or any of that business. So Romero can really pit whenever he likes, even if he comes out on his own. I think he'll be fine with that fresh compound tyre. Moisov, though, not quite as quick in the Aston Martin. I think has to stay with Romero to be dragged around. So here we are then, they're side by side, they come down the straight. Moisov pulled out of the draft, and now look, Romero is starting to pull away again.
Good about the straight line speed then, quite clearly there for Nico Romero. That will give him confidence later on in this race. Just to mention, by the way, Coco Lopez, he needs 4th or better to keep his 3rd position. If Moisov finishes inside the top 2, as he is set to do so at the moment, he could take away 3rd place in the championship from Coco Lopez, and Lopez is down there in 7th place, sick as a parrot.
Well, what a result that would be for Nikita Moisov, who's, I guess, a relative newcomer to the EMEA region, especially at the sharp end here. So to come away in the Series 3, or Season 3, sorry, as a podium standard, what do you call it? A podium man? Podium...
Top 3 finisher?
That'll do. Podium standard definitely in it. I mean, that's very impressive.
It certainly is, yeah. Here is Coco Lopez once again all over the back of Jose Brea like a bad rash. Nowdy in front there, you can see, has got a penalty. That's 1 second that he is going to lose out, but it's not just the second he loses from the penalty, it's the time he loses in terms of the momentum as well. So keep an eye out for that, because he'll be set to lose time. Now first pit stop's coming in for the race leaders, and a lot of other drivers following suit there. So you can see Romero and Moisov continue on. Everybody else pretty much inside the top 10 comes in.
I love seeing how the drivers attack the pit lane, because once they hit the pit lane line, it doesn't really matter. The car drifts in. I can imagine being one of the mechanics in there thinking, oh no, watch out, here they come. Yeah, all in the pit lane now, and there's a mix now, people who have stopped and people who have not stopped. So Coco Lopez is sort of at the back of this little group here of people who have stopped. The top 3 have yet to come into the pit lane, and that means Kravchenko, at the head of this little pack here, is now in 3rd place, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he won't be once the pit stops are all said and done.
Let's see what happens then. So here is Nowdy with that penalty. Here is Kravchenko coming under pressure from Salazar there as well, and Nowdy coming into the play. So side by side we go down the start finish straight. Kravchenko on the inside. Salazar trying to send it around the outside. Does he make that stick? Oh, he does. What a brilliant move there from Salazar.
He had to make it stick as well. Kravchenko is entitled to fight for position. Of course, they really aren't fighting each other. And Nowdy, they're going to go free abreast. Surely they're not. Nowdy is just about staying there with Kravchenko. Salazar in the RX Vision cannot quite get the speed down the straight. Kravchenko's going to come back at him into the right hand. It's a disaster for Salazar. He needs to get by and stay by here. He's going to just about make that stick. Hangs it all the way around the outside. There'll be some colourful Portuguese language, I think, inside that helmet as trying to get by Kravchenko. Here is DePilo in the background as well. He needs to get by quickly, otherwise he's going to lose out. Here we are then, coming down the straight. Salazar then leading this little pack. Kravchenko behind, again yet to pit, so he's essentially not really a part of this battle. But Tapia in front is going to get a draft, and he needs to get by quick so he can stay with Salazar down the straight.
So then, here is Tapia versus Kravchenko, side by side they come down the straight, then wing mirror to wing mirror, door handle to door handle almost between them. Tapia is now ahead, the Hungarian ahead of the German up the inside, he goes, does he make it stick? Kravchenko's out well wide going through there, actually coming into the pit lane, caught me a little bit off guard I must be honest, so that now releases Tapia to battle with Carlos Salazar. Keep an eye out in the background there as well. Nowdy versus Brea, pretty close but company between them. Here is Romero versus Moisov. There's continuing theme in this race, and this race is coming to an absolutely brilliant crescendo, and we've still got over 7 laps remaining, so let's see what is going to happen here.
So there's Romero and Moisov. They've just come into the pit lane, of course. They've got their pit stops done now, so it's going to be a fight to the end for these guys. Coming now down to the right-hander for the 10th time of asking, only 7 laps left at the moment. And Moisov, I think he's just happy to sit there for now, Tom. He's happy to sit there, wait until he can have a chance to pounce on Romero, where he will not be able to come back at him. And at this rate, that will be on the final lap.
Well, I wonder, because fuel isn't something we've really mentioned too much, it shouldn't be too critical around here. There are a lot of full throttle zones, but Moisov, maybe if he's got a bit more fuel, he won't have to do any saving. If indeed Romero, because he's been leading, has been punching that hole in the air, he won't have as much fuel in his car, in theory, won't have been as efficient. So let's see whether that comes into play and whether Moisov is just going to be able to push a little bit harder at the end of this race compared to Nico Romero. Meanwhile, the man who was fastest, actually, was Mammal down in 9th position. Last time around, he said a 1 minute 55 flat. That's very quick indeed compared to any other competitors. So clearly, the fresh rubber working very nicely underneath the Nissan for him. But meanwhile, we cross back to this battle as it still continues on for the race lead. Nico Romero there in the convertible VW. It's a very unusual looking thing as a Group 3 car, but a very quick looking car nonetheless, and doing a good job of leading the race he is here so far. So these two very much asserting their authority in this race as it stands.
Yeah, I'd have thought that a convertible wouldn't be too good for aero, perhaps especially with the driver's helmet pointing out the top of it, but apparently it is, so there you go. Obviously I'm not an aerodynamicist, but there's Naldi, and the two Citroens currently driving together, Naldi and Brea, doing a very good job. That car, again, you'll watch it go round, it doesn't seem like it's a fast car at all down the straights, but it's just about hanging on in there, sorry. And Coco Lopez is there as well, maybe able to take back the place that he was on the grid if he can get past Brea, maybe get a freebie as well if he can get past Naldi. So, but these guys have sort of fallen off the back of Tepay and Salazar. Tepay is he's just out of slipstream range, having to deal with Kravchenko before he pitted in, really hurt Tepay there, so that's the reason why he's not with Salazar anymore. But Romero and Moisov did enough to make that gap to Salazar, meaning that they will not have to worry about them towards the end of the race. It all goes well. Meanwhile, Naldi, Brea, Lopez, we're on board with Lopez in that BMW M6. Great to get a driver's eye view around here. What he sees, Brea looks to the outside there a bit too early, catches a couple of sparks at the wall and slows himself down, coming up now to the series of right-handers. Lopez does have the draft. He's carrying the overspeed. Brea's going to go to the inside. Does Lopez try and follow him through? I would if I was Coque, but he thinks better of it. That's why he's a superstar, and I'm not. I'll tell you that. Almost runs into the back of Naldi coming through the midsection there.
Through into the left-hander we go, back onto the straight once more. Coco Lopez, he just needs to find his way past these two Citroens. There is Buller. 1.5 second penalty that the German driver's got. That is not very good at all. It drops him out of contention of battling for the final positions in the top 10. It drops him onto the fringes of the top 10 with a certain Giorgio Mangano, who is closing up to him now, less than half a second away. So let's see what happens then with these guys. Here is Coco Lopez, 7th position for him so far in this race, 0.2 of a second back at the moment. What's going through his mind, do you think? Do you think he wants to find his way past these Citroens as soon as he can? Well, let's find out.
I think he needs the draft. These guys do. There's Brea. Where is Coco Lopez? He's still behind us. He's not gone for the move, Tom. He's still sitting there. Maybe it's another Moisov Romero situation where he kind of needs to be pulled around here. And Mammal, good recovery from him, given that he had that penalty right early on in that gorgeous, frankly, GTR in a fantastic livery too.
Yeah, why are you such a fan of it?
I don't know, mate.
Just no reason at all. Just like it. He just likes it. He just likes it.
It's nice.
That's all you got to say, really, isn't it? Oh, dearie me. Anyway, through into the left-hander. Jimmy Nissan GTR Broadbent alongside myself, Tom Brooks, for the last few laps then of this race. Over the timeline we go once more with the race leaders. Here is Nikita Moisov versus Nico Romero, the race leader. So coming through into the left-hander. Now, if you're Nikita Moisov, he knows he's going to pounce at some point. I think Romero's pretty wise to the fact that he's going to as well. When do you do it? How do you do it? When do you think about it?
Now, maybe. Moisov looking. He's kind of half looking though, isn't he? That he drops back in. I think if you want to beat this VW, you have to do it on the last lap at the last hairpin, because you cannot really overtake after that, which means that what Moisov has to do, is set it up nicely coming out of the right-hander that's our drivers are about to go through here, and then just get to the hairpin and just be firm, go up the inside, sit on the apex, and just make sure Romero cannot come back at you, because the big strength of that VW, as we have seen, is its straight line speed. It's so much so, in fact, that I'm fairly confident some of the cars aren't even hitting the same top speed as this thing does on its own in the draft.
No, it's very true. It is an absolute weapon in a straight line, is that VW. And that will be very handy there for Nico Romero. Maybe he's got enough in the tank to try and hold off the charge of Nikita Moisov. That V12 Vantage never has been a slow car in a straight line, but maybe Moisov doesn't have anything in the tank. I'd love to see an on-board actually with Moisov when we go on to a straight. So perhaps around about now, just to see whether he is backing off and whether he is lifting on the throttle. Let's wait and see here. Maybe he's just waiting behind him. So he's got the advance of the slipstream. He knows he can find his way through. Ah, there you go. Yeah, he lifted off the throttle big time there, didn't he?
Yeah, just following him around now. He's being clever, is Moisov, and that's the difference between a good driver and a great driver there. Is you think about what you're doing. It's a very big temptation just to act on impulse as a driver and just go, right, yeah, send it, yeah, love it. But the problem is, you don't get very far doing that, so you have to really think far ahead. Now, Moisov now, see, he's got a run. He can overtake it. Get off the front.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you start doing that as well, you start suffering from Oliver Twist-itis, as it turns out, according to you.
Yeah, I'm suffering for many years.
It's the least surprising statement I've ever heard. Finally, an explanation. Goodness me. So, lap 13 out of 17, we're on then very much into the closing stages here now. Nikita Moisov still putting that pressure on to the back of Nico Romero. I apologise, we'll get it right one day. Buller, meanwhile, has just been passed by Giorgio Mangano. Those two very close. That's down just on the fringes of the top 10. Mangano, who's been making a steady progress through the field. Here's Jose Brea versus Naudi then. So this is the two Citroens battling with one another, with Coque Lopez still very much keeping them honest in 7th position. So let's see whether Lopez is going to be able to find his way past. I just don't think he can. I think he just needs that slipstream to keep in contention with these guys at the moment.
Yeah, Brea just made the place there by the way, Tom. So he's just gone past Naldi and is now opting to try and forge his own path, so to speak. They're only about 1.5 seconds off to pay. If they can get onto the back of him, there's a chance they can all be dragged along. But Naldi's having none of it. He's going to go side by side with Brea coming through the tunnel. This is not a place you want to do that. Oh, and just slots in ahead of Brea, who's now going to have to draft towards the end of the hairpin. Are they working together here? Let's see what Brea does. Let's see if Naldi lets him by. No, Naldi's going to go to the inside of the circuit. He's going to go defensive. He does not want to give up this place. Guys, you can catch Adam if you're quick here. They don't want to, though. They're going to try and duke it out. And all this plays into the hands of Coque Lopez, and behind Mammal in the Nissan GTR. If he can get onto the back of these guys, he'll be involved in this fight as well. And this is the risk you run around here. Do you squabble? Do you want to be at the front of the train? Do you work together? Because if you do the former, there's a big chance that train can get bigger and bigger as more cars join as you slow each other down.
So let's see what is about to happen then, coming through in towards the left-hander. So Naudi trying to, as you said, Jimmy, forge his own path. Jose Brea there trying to follow him there as well. I wonder whether he is going to be able to do so. That is the crucial question. It's getting very close between them. Further down the order as well, David Villa rather in 12th position with Frober and Abraham Hagen very close for company there behind, through into the left-hander. You can just see the pressure that Naudi is being put under there from Jose Brea. Look at that. Is he going to pull out of the slipstream? He certainly is, but is he going to be able to find his way past? So side by side we come through the tunnel. Brea versus Naudi. In towards the right-hander, late on the brakes we go. Brea, the Spaniard, is through, and he's into 5th position, but Coque Lopez in the background, he needs the chance to get ahead of these drivers. He needs it to try and save his championship, to save 3rd place.
I'm not sure if they're just switching places or they are working together. You know, as in like they're fighting switching places, or they're working together. It's so hard to figure out around here. They're both Citroen drivers, so I mean, it sort of stands to reason that they both want to be leading, because at the end of the day, it's only the top Citroen driver that can really take bragging rights. Naldi, interestingly, not in the slipstream going down the straight, opting to stay out of the slipstream and not get that boost from having the car in front punch the hole through the air and you sort of duck in behind it and reap the benefit of that. We're coming down now to the hairpin. Brea goes defensive. Naldi looks up the inside. Coque Lopez is closer than he has ever been. Is he going to go for a lunge? No, he's going to stay behind for now. Brea will take the place, or leave the place, I should say. Lopez, though, he looked so good on exit for a second there, Lopez, but he can't quite get that car hooked up in that second phase there. Can't quite get it out of the corner as quick as his guys in front. So the time is starting to run out for these lads. They want to catch the guy in front. Adam Depay now only a second. No, sorry, I got that wrong. He's only a second clear of Carlos Salazar now. So Adam might get onto the back of Carlos for 3rd place, but this battle for 5th is still the closest one on track.
So through into the left-hander we go once more. These drivers running nose to tail, as has been the recurring theme in this race. Now Nikita Moisov still putting pressure on to Nico Romero. Through into the left-hander we go once more. So this is lap 15 out of 17, and you sense that Moisov is just getting a little bit more frustrated there, and Nico Romero, he probably just wants Moisov to pass him so he can follow him for a little bit there, find out where he's going to make a move. I wonder if Moisov is going to wait until the final lap to pounce, or whether he's going to try and go maybe a lap earlier and try and make a bit of a break onto that final lap. But it's just so hard to do that here. There's not really the opportunity, because it's so much about the straight line speed and about having that slipstream.
I don't think that Moisov potentially is frustrated at all. I think he's just hanging out. I think he's just vibing back there. You know, he's just waiting for the chance to pounce, and it isn't yet. It will be very soon, though, and he's going to be preparing for that. The great thing about following the guy in front of you is you can basically study him. You know, this has been so far, 15 laps of learning for Nikita Moisov. Where is that VW slow? Where am I going to be most able to pass? Probably at the end of this straight, coming into the hairpin at the end there. So he's trying, he'll have times to practice. See, right now he's not in the draft, he's just waiting. He's just waiting behind Romero in front. And as soon as he has a chance, I assume on the last lap, to make a pass where Nico will have no chance to reply, he'll go for it. I'm 100% sure of that.
Running on board as he shifts up the gears then, 4th into 5th, putting the power on as he comes up the hill then in towards that hairpin bend. This is the opportunity potentially for him to find his way, sorry, into the right-hander rather, into the final sector. And this is potentially when he's going to be thinking about maybe making a few dummy moves, but not quite close enough though, as things stand at the moment there for Nikita Moisov to mount that challenge. Further down the order, Malky is getting closer to Mamel. That's for P8 in this race. Back into the slipstream we go once again with Nikita Moisov. Pulls out as they draw alongside one another to start this penultimate lap here at the Tokyo Expressway. Back into the slipstream he goes once more though, Nikita Moisov. So through into the left of turn 1 we go once more. Back into the slipstream once more as well here for Nikita.
What he's doing right now, Tom, is he's just getting these mirrors. He's just making them look. He's making them get a little bit more anxious as we get into these final laps. Thinking, will he, won't he, you know? And it's just trying to get inside Romero's head and make him, just distract him, make him miss an apex somewhere, make him assume that on the last lap Nikita's going to go for a path in a place he wouldn't otherwise think of. It's all about that here. It's all about making those little moves to confuse the guy ahead of you. And that's what I think Moisov is doing now. So we're on the penultimate lap. I, again, won't be surprised to see Moisov sort of move out of the draft here to not make the pass, but come this time next lap, I think there's going to be some fireworks.
Further down the order, Abraham Hagen in 14th position, just got himself ahead of Krevchenko. Abraham Hagen actually making a good ascension through the field there, now ahead of David Villa for P13. This is a bit of a late charge. Meanwhile, here is Breyer versus Naudi. This has been a continuing theme all race, hasn't it? These two separated by a whisker. And Breyer looking to try and get himself back ahead of Naudi. Lopez also ready to try and join the party. He's in the slipstream, has a little bit of a look there coming through, but they're about to come into the hairpin. This is the overtaking opportunity. Maybe Lopez is going to think about it into there. Will he do so? Not quite. These drivers just sort of signalling a little bit of an intention, a half look here, a half look there, but nothing really concrete for them at the moment.
I would have went for it if I was Koke. This is the time to do it. He's got 2 cars to pass, 2 times at a hairpin. He's just run out of that now, so then you've got 1 more hairpin left. I would have went for it and then tried to chase down Nardi. That would have been it for me, but of course maybe that BMW not quite capable of getting there and getting alongside. No then, we come in to the last lap of the Manufacturers Series here in the 2020 series. Round 30 is all going to come down to this. Who's going to be taking the top honours in this last race of the 3rd season? Romero at the moment still leading from Moisov. Now, is it the time for Moisov to make the move? He's got a long run down to the square right at the bottom of this hill. Will he go for the move now? He pulls to the inside though. I don't think this is going to be it. I think he's going to wait for now. He's still pulling alongside. No, he's going to tuck back in. I think he's going to try and make the move towards the end of the lap.
Crunch time here then for Nikita Moisov. Nicky Romero's going to be watching his mirrors like a hawk as Moisov just tries to get everything lined up. He needs to get exits perfect out of the corners and the entries for that matter there. Where, if you're Nikita Moisov, are you pouncing, Jimmy?
It's got to be the hairpin now. This is it. Now watch him through this right-hander. We're going to go through the tunnel. He's going to be in the draft. This is what the moment that Moisov has been waiting for the entire thing, and Romero knows it. He tries to break the draft straight away, but of course you're only really allowed one move. Moisov now locked onto the back of that VW as we come through the tunnel section. Left and then right through here, far from straight. Moisov already trying to signal his intention. He'll duck back into the draft, no doubt now, coming up to the hairpin. This is his last chance to make this move stick. Romero goes to the inside to defend. Moisov follows him there. What will Moisov do? Will he try and go around the outside? He's going to give it a best shot. Romero very late on the brakes. Is he going to make the corner? He will do. Moisov's going to try and come back, but he can't quite do so. Romero defends the position, and time is running out for Moisov.
Just a few corners now remaining. Side by side they come, because here comes Moisov trying to go around the outside. That's going to be brave. Is he going to be able to make something stick through there? They're about to flick it right though. Moisov is going to try and hold it around the outside.
line. We're side by side in the final sector for the win in the Manufacturers Series. Romero just holds on. There's only one more corner remaining. All Romero has to do is park it on the apex and send it through that turn. Out of it we come now, and to the line, it's Nico Romero who wins the Manufacturers Series race. Or does he? It's so close, it's a drag to the line, but Romero takes it by 1/10 of a second from Nikita Moisov. And the checkered flag, Carlos Salazar finishes on the podium in third place there, but what a thrilling final lap. What a race in the Manufacturers Series. What a way to end the online season in 2020.
Lopez managed to get by Nald as well up into P6, so we did manage to get past one of them, and Giorgio Mangano, great recovery up to P10 from last on the grid. But is this man, Nico Romero, after a race of seeing that Aston Martin and his mirrors knew where to park that VW on the last lap just to make sure that Nikita Moisov couldn't get by, and takes a win for VW in the Manufacturers Series.
Well, what a brilliant race then. Absolutely fantastic from all of those drivers. Great racing up and down the field, and huge congratulations to the Spaniard, Nico Romero. Takes the win in the EMEA region for the Manufacturers Series race. I think if I can just listen carefully, I can probably hear Alberto and Lucas, our Spanish commentators, shouting about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear him anyway, can't you? Always.
Their voice does travel. It certainly does. Brilliant racing there, up and down the field in the Manufacturer Series. What a great way to round off what has been a thrilling 2020 season. Nico Romero takes the checkered flag for the final time of our online season. Moisov finishing in second, Salazar in third ahead of Tapai, Brea, Lopez, Naudi, Mabel, Buller and Mangano in the top 10.
And interestingly, with that result, Lopez loses, I think, his third place in the championship, and Moisov in second place in the last second possible takes the last step on the podium. Not bad.
That's not bad at all there. So Nikita Moisov will move up to third overall in the standings. What a Manufacturer Series we have been treated to in 2020. Well, Jimmy, some amazing racing we've seen in the Manufacturers Series. I have to say the driving, actually, in these two races today, in Nations Cup and Manufacturers, it just felt like a World Tour event, didn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking that, especially with the X2019 as well. You don't really see that very often in these races. I thought, see that included. It gave me that big World Tour vibe. Makes me, we're not quite there yet, of course, but looking forward to when we can be again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has been brilliant to bring some coverage of this, hasn't it, as well? And we've seen just some exemplary driving. Good to catch up with the likes of Valerio Gallo, Baptiste Beauvoir, doing good things in the Nations Cup. Nico Romero, Nikita Moisov, maybe they're the stars of the future. Maybe they're the people we'll be talking about in the same vein next time.
Oh, what's amazing is all these guys have been doing this from their bedroom or for their lounge or outside of your Carlos Salazar, apparently. But, this is where this whole championship's been built on that. And the really amazing thing for me is that if I were good enough, if Tom were good enough, we could be doing that too. But who would commentate?
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that because otherwise we'll be out of a job. But if you think you're good enough, if you fancy a crack at it, get yourself on GT Sport, get a PlayStation 4, give it a go, and you never know, you might have a couple of Wallies shouting about it at some point.
Yeah, the Spanish guys, right?
Quite. Anyway, that does bring an end to proceedings for 2020 for our online season of the Top 16 Superstars. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Stay tuned to Gran Turismo's social media channels and the website over the next coming few weeks and months, though, because we've got a very exciting announcement about more racing on GT Sport coming very, very soon indeed. We'll leave you with some highlights of the racing action today in the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Series. But from Jimmy Broadbent and from myself, Tom Brooks, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.